SCPs are some of the strangest creatures ever to exist. But which one is the weirdest? Today, we're going to be learning more about these SCPs to figure out which one is the weirdest of them all. Comment down below which one you think it'll be, and let's find out.
A man opens his mouth to bite a hot dog and
Sounds like me.
freezes. His eyes widen, and the hot dog drops from his hand, falling to the ground. Ahead, a stampede of people is running toward him, screaming, crying out for help.
Why?
Behind them, a man walks at an ordinary, casual pace, but something is off. His eyes have a glazed, unfocused look to them. And he keeps shoveling random items into his open mouth.
That's kind of weird.
Down. He eats a clipboard and pen, a discarded shoe, and as the first man watches in horror, the very hungry man grabs the ankle of a fallen member of the crowd and pulls him into his mouth, devouring him. The first man turns to run for his life, only to be knocked to the ground by the rest of the crowd, trying to escape. He struggles to climb back to his feet, and a hand reaches out to take his.
Oh, is that
When he makes it
Mr.
to his
Hungry?
feet, he looks up and sees the hungry man.
Oh
pulling
my
him in,
goodness.
mouth stretching.
He looks like a Titan from Attack on
The sky
Titan,
is
but
a
normal
perfect,
size.
Cloudless blue. The air is warm from the unbroken sunlight, but cooled to the perfect temperature by a gentle breeze.
So it's a
There's
nice
sense
day.
of electricity, excitement, and competition in the air.
Okay.
Throngs of people have gathered together in a makeshift arena, piled into plastic chairs and swarming around concession
I'm gonna guess
stands,
it's some sort of
all
eating
training their eyes
competition.
on the arena's center. What are they here for? Some sort of Olympic Games? A baseball tournament? A horse race? No, it's something greater, something meatier. It is the annual Midsummer Hot Dog Eating Contest, and locals and tourists alike are coming together to see just who can cram the
Where's
most
Joey
pork or beef
Chestnut?
hot dogs and buns.
I'm pretty
down
sure he
their
wins,
gullets
like, every
in front
year.
of a roaring crowd. The announcer makes his way to the front of the arena, standing with his arms wide in front of the long table behind him. As he calls out the names of this year's contestants, they file in, each taking his place behind the table. There is the previous year's champion, a burly man with a bushy beard and twinkling eyes.
I'm kind of curious if we'll see Mr. Hungry, aka SCP-913, as one of the contestants here today.
And there is this year's surprise competitor, a skinny 19-year-old college student with a hungry grin. Then there are the lesser-known contestants, a local father who signed up after making a joke with his daughter, an uncle who scrawled his name on the sign-up sheet after a few too many drinks, a recently retired man checking off another item on his golden years bucket list. All have come to the event today with full hearts and empty stomachs, ready to see who the
who's
year's
gonna
victor
win?
will be. The announcer riles up the crowd, encouraging them to cheer as loudly as possible to spur on their chosen competitor. All the while, staff are carrying out trays piled high with hot dogs. More hot dogs than most people see in a year.
I have a
except for
bad
people who just
feeling
really,
about this.
Really love hot dogs. Each contestant receives a tray of hot dogs, a bucket of water, and an additional empty bucket, just in case.
Kind of side note, I always wondered, like, if you sign up for a food eating competition, do you have to pay for the food? Because I feel like that would be a pretty good way to get a lot of free food if you wanted to. Just saying.
Well, you get the idea. With the supplies and competitors all in place, it is time to begin the countdown. The announcer holds up his favorite air horn and calls out,
3, 2, 1, eat!
At the sound of the air horn's blast, the men leap into action, seizing hot dogs from plates and each engaging in their unique competitive eating technique. The previous year's champion employs the method of famous hot dog eating champion Joey Chestnut.
That's who I was
dunking his
talking
entire
about.
Hot dog sloppily
Yeah,
into
he
his
makes it,
water
like, really
and
mushy.
swallowing it as quickly as
Kind of
possible.
gross.
The new challenger, on the other hand, employs the Solomon method, named for King Solomon. Much like the fabled king suggested doing with a stolen infant, eaters using the Solomon method break the focus of their feasting in half before polishing it off. One of the more casual competitors attempts a divide and conquer technique. eating
Interesting.
first the dog
Oh,
itself,
ew, I didn't
and
like
then
that.
the
That was
bun.
weird.
Others employ no specific technique at all, attempting to devour the stack of hot dogs before them, using
Yeah.
the same classic eating style they might employ at a family barbecue.
He's just chomping
This
down.
is a grave mistake. One by one, the less prepared competitors drop out,
He looks
spitting
so-
into their buckets,
so
wiping meat
so
sweats from their
tired.
foreheads, waddling out of the arena while groaning and holding their
They're
aching
all going to be in
stomachs.
food comas.
Soon, only the two frontrunners remain. But what's this? A challenger approaches. An unassuming black man, clad in a shirt and dress pants, rushes into the
It's
arena,
Mr.
his face
Hungry.
a mask of single-minded determination, and begins seizing the discarded hot dogs off the table, gobbling them up as fast as he can. The announcer and the rest of the audience watch in stunned disbelief. This is unprecedented, and as exciting as it is, definitely against the rules. This man is not a registered competitor, and he certainly can't join the contest in the champion stretch. Unsure of what else to do, the announcer beckons to the staff on the sidelines, ushering them back toward the table to clear
Oh
the
no,
food
they're
and
gonna try to
escort
get rid
this
of him.
surprise drop-in out of the arena. The audience watches with rapt attention as the staff members attempt to remove the stranger from his place at the
no,
table.
dudes, this
He
is how
shakes his head
chaos
violently,
happens.
refusing
Look at his teeth too. His teeth look almost like they're carnivore teeth. Like they're a little sharper than usual.
to go, and snatches the hot dogs away from them, even as they try to clear the trays away. All the while, the remaining competitors standing are attempting to stay the course and finish strong in spite of the interruption. The new, younger man collapses, slumping down onto the table in a hot dog-induced stupor. He has tapped out. The victor is the previous year's champion, with a staggering ultimate tally of 38 hot dogs.
38,
As
dude.
4 staff members work together
I
to
don't even
wrestle
think
the
I could eat
stranger out of
10.
the arena, the champion steps forward to receive his trophy. The crowd roars as he holds up his arms, grinning ear to ear and basking in yet another win. The announcer can still see the staff struggling with the stranger out of the corner of his eye. But this crowd wants to see their champion crowned, and the show must go on.
I wonder if something like this has ever happened before, where during like a professional eating competition, has a random stranger come up and like just tried to join the competition out of nowhere, and they're like just chowing down on hot dogs, and then they have to get security to come escort them out because clearly they're getting a bunch of free food, which is illegal. You must pay for the food, I think anyway.
So he grabs the Hot Dog King sash, the crown made from gold, well, gold-plated, hot dogs, and even the massive gold trophy. He crowns the winner, placing the sash over his shoulders. Then, as the music swells triumphantly, courtesy of the local high school marching band, the announcer holds up the trophy,
Wow.
sunlight glinting off its shiny
It's
surface.
gorgeous.
It represents so many things: achievement, celebration, the ability to eat just so much meat and not get sick. And now it is time for it to be awarded to the man who earned it.
He did
the
it.
announcer stretches his arms, handing over the
What a
trophy to the
beast.
contest winner, when all of a sudden,
Oh.
another hand grabs
Oh,
hold
is he
of his
going to
handle,
eat the
ripping it from
trophy?
the announcer's grasp. The stranger has returned, somehow freeing himself from the multiple security guards.
Yeah,
who
because
escorted
he
him
ate
away.
them
He is
alive.
taking the trophy for himself.
Somebody should go check on
But
them.
he isn't just attempting to crown himself the hot dog king. No, this is not a simple coup de hot dog. He lifts the trophy up over his head, opening his mouth as wide as it will go, and tears the metal in half with a horrible screeching sound,
So-
shoving the pieces into
As soon as you see that, especially when you see his like mangled teeth, which probably happened because he's done this a bunch, where he's probably been eating everything in sight, including metal, which will destroy your teeth. So as soon as you see something like this, like you should probably, you know, call the cops, maybe call the military, call the president, maybe call in NASA. I don't even know what you do because this guy's clearly not human. He's an alien.
his mouth, chewing and swallowing. By the time the announcer and the champion recover from their shock enough to move again, the trophy is completely gone, vanished into the stranger's belly.
That's gross.
After a day of seemingly impossible feats of feasting, the sight of this strange man consuming a truly impossible meal of metal is just too much for the already anxious crowd to take. The arena erupts into absolute chaos as people spill out of their seats en masse, fleeing the area. The champion, however, does not turn and run. He feels robbed of his victory.
Oh my gosh,
Though
he's
it
gonna
may
try
have
to fight.
occurred in an utterly bizarre fashion.
No,
he won't
dude.
stand for this kind of
Oh,
disrespect.
Why in a million years would you go up to somebody as crazy as the dude that just ate your trophy in like 3 bites? He's clearly psychotic, right? Like you should probably steer clear of people like that. Just, you know, I don't want to tell you what to do and how to live your life, but you should definitely not approach people that eat metal trophies. That is something that I will live my life by from this day forward.
He has trained all year for this moment, only to watch his trophy be eaten right in front of him.
There's always more
He
trophies.
marches right up to the stranger and pokes him in the chest, demanding to know who he thinks he is. What gives him the right to crash the hot dog eating contest, interrupt the proceedings, and upstage his victory by chowing down on the trophy? The man doesn't answer him, so the champion continues to berate
Oh,
him,
stop.
wagging his
Get your
in
finger
his
away
face.
from his mouth.
The stranger's eyes
No,
follow the
dude,
finger,
what are you
and slowly
thinking?
he opens his
Ah,
mouth. There is
no.
a sudden
Oh,
pop,
no,
and the
no. It's
champion
just tomatoes.
screams,
It's
holding
just
his hand
ketchup,
to his
right?
chest, using his shirt
Oh,
to stem the bleeding.
no, no,
He
no,
turns to
no.
run with the rest of the crowd. It's too late. The stranger's hand clamps down on his shoulder, holding him in place with a surprising strength. The only thing he sees before his life is snuffed out is the stranger's wide open mouth before everything goes dark.
That's
with another
really, really
sickening
scary.
chomp.
It's like a
All
human
the while,
snake.
The crowd's terror rises to a fever pitch at the horrible sight. They trample each other as they scramble to vacate the area, shoving strangers and loved ones alike out of the way.
Dude,
In a bid to
this is a
escape
head
this
scratcher.
mysterious equal opportunity omnivore.
I don't even know
with
what
an
you do.
appetite for far more than just hot dogs. Some manage to escape, running far enough from the arena that they can stop to catch their breaths and glance back at the ones who were not so lucky. Those who tripped and fell in the madness, who had the wind knocked out of them by an elbow to the gut from one of their neighbors, those with weak ankles or who hadn't tied their shoes carefully enough. All of these poor, unfortunate souls are next on the menu for the stranger, who devours them one by one.
This is
rarely
gross.
even
I don't
stopping to
like
chew.
this.
As one surviving woman watching from a distance pulls out her phone to call 911,
Well, yeah.
she can't escape noticing the parallels to the contest itself. The way the stranger eats with a singular focus on consuming as much as possible.
That is a
There's no
human
pause
leg.
to enjoy the meal, but there is no sadism or malice in the act either. Just the sheer, undeniable drive to keep eating. The woman's call to the police is one of the strangest moments of her life and utterly baffles the local police department. Ma'am, please calm down, one officer repeats.
I am a little bit worried too, because earlier they mentioned that the SCP had some weird superhuman strength. So even if they do bring the police there, are they going to be able to stop him? That's something that I don't think so, especially because usually SCPs, they're supernatural in the way that they behave. So if I had to guess, he's probably super strong. He probably is practically invincible, and there's nothing that's going to stop him from eating everything and everyone in sight.
Again and again. What do you mean there's a man eating people? I mean exactly what I said, she shouts. A man showed up at the hot dog contest and started eating people. Please, you have to do something.
It sounds like a prank
I
call.
think this is above our pay grade, miss. Another officer chimes in. You think we should call, the first officer trails off. Who?
The
woman
SCP
demands.
Foundation.
But the line goes dead before she can ask another question. The police are clearly no help, and she isn't about to stick around and see just how big this stranger's appetite is. She tried to save the others, but now she needs to save herself. She
Yes,
runs all the way
get out of
home
there.
without another glance back. Meanwhile, the local police did make that mysterious call, and an SCP Foundation mobile task force is currently en route to the scene.
Oh, nice.
By the
Okay,
time
good.
They arrive, the park is a ghost town, with nothing but the blood-stained grass and abandoned arena to suggest that something horrible ever
Is the
happened here at
SCP
all.
gone?
But these aren't some bumbling local police officers who have no idea what to do with a man-eating anomaly. This team has seen enough bizarre sights to fill a lifetime, and another lifetime after that. They spy a trail of sticky red footprints leading away from the arena. At first, they assume that the substance is blood, but a closer examination reveals
Ketchup.
that it is, in fact, ketchup. They track the savory footprints
They
away from the
tasted
scene
it?
of the day's unsavory events, following them to a nearby warehouse. Judging from the scattered wooden beams, rustling metal, and boarded-up windows, this place has been abandoned for some time.
Interesting.
Perfect place for an anomaly to hide away.
That is the
They
home
weren't
of
certain.
Mr.
The
Hungry.
sound of someone inside biting through sheets of metal is plenty of indication that this is the right place. With no time to waste, they break down the door of the warehouse, weapons drawn and ready. They follow the sound of the chewing, splitting up to apprehend the subject from all available directions. The shriek of tearing metal echoes
Where
through
is
the building,
he?
bouncing off the walls and creating a cacophony that is difficult to track. They do their best to follow the sound, but quickly veer off in separate directions in an attempt to cover as much ground as possible. One operative confronts the stranger just as he is reaching for
there he
another
is.
piece of metal. He watches as the man takes a massive bite out of the steel, a bite that should have shattered his teeth and broken his jaw.
Oh, he just ripped apart steel, bro. I thought only jet fuel could melt steel beams, but apparently this guy's teeth, it's basically jet fuel. That is crazy.
Instead, a cartoonish bite mark is taken out of the metal. He approaches the stranger, who, upon locking eyes with him, begins to shake his head, still chewing. The MTF operative ignores this visual cue, approaching the man and attempting to physically restrain him. This, like the confrontation with the champion before, is cut off with a fateful
Oh,
chomp, and the
no.
operative
Why
screams
would you
ringing out
touch
through
him?
the warehouse.
I thought this SCP whole squadron, they've seen anomalies before, and you would think that they probably know, don't get too close to an SCP, because that could happen.
Alerting his teammates to his unfortunate fate. The screams suddenly go silent, and another MTF operative stops cold, listening as the sound of chewing draws nearer and nearer. He spins around to face the presence behind him and spots the stranger standing there. The otherwise ordinary man is polishing off the tip of a steel beam, grimacing as he swallows it.
That's
The
gross,
operative
dude.
lifts his weapon, pointing it at the subject. The operative tells him to stand down and come quietly. The hungry man pleads, wide-eyed, for the operative to turn and run while he still can.
Huh?
He takes small, reluctant steps toward the operative.
Okay, so it seems like the SCP himself is maybe just a normal guy, and he has the insatiable need to keep eating. Like, he can't stop himself.
Muttering that he can't stop.
Yeah.
The operative brandishes his weapon again, barking another order for the man to stop.
Is he gonna eat the bullets?
Before he can make another move, the stranger snatches the weapon out of his hand, opens his mouth.
Are you kidding me? How, as an SCP, like SEAL Team 6, how, as a SCP soldier, are you gonna let an SCP get close enough to grab your gun? Like, these guys clearly aren't trained. My 95-year-old grandmother knows you just pull the trigger when some crazy dude is walking at you.
And swallows it. He winces as he does.
Ew.
He does not stop. until the weapon
It's
is
like a magic
completely
trick.
devoured. All at once, he lets out a loud belch. His knees buckle.
I wonder
and he
what his
slumps to
poops
the
are
ground.
like.
He rubs his stomach, wipes his brow, and sighs heavily. I'm so sorry about that. I was just so hungry I couldn't help it.
Oh?
The man shakes his head sadly. I hope you can get a new weapon. And I'm sorry about your friend, too.
Oh, wow.
You said you couldn't help it. Why'd you stop? The stranger shrugs, sighs again, and simply says, well, because I was full. After a bit of convincing,
So
and
he
a test
can
confirming
be
the subject's
full.
strength and bite force has returned to ordinary human levels, the
What?
remaining mobile task force agreed to bring him into Foundation custody unharmed, though restrained. They pile into one of the SCP Foundation's trademark unmarked vans and set off toward the nearest Foundation site. About 1 hour into the trip, the subject begins to lament his growling stomach, asking if they can possibly stop somewhere for a bite to eat. Ordinarily, this is against protocol, but after what happened to their teammate, the task force members aren't taking any chances.
You should probably give
They
him
pull
all
into
the
a fast
food that he
food
needs.
drive-thru and permit the subject to order whatever he wants. They'll declare it as a business expense later. 5 burgers, 5 fries, 5 tacos, 5 pies, 5 cokes, 10 tater tots, 10 tenders, 5 shakes, 5 pancakes, 5 jalapeno poppers, and 5 baked potatoes later. The task force
That's like what my brain wants to order every time that I'm hungry, but obviously no human could eat that much food.
successfully reached the Foundation site with their newest subject, SCP-913. SCP-913 appears to be an average African-American man around middle age. Though his appearance is completely ordinary, his metabolism is unnaturally fast. He requires the recommended daily caloric intake for an average human being every 2 hours and has an unusually high internal temperature, though the specific number has been redacted from his official file.
Interesting.
If he does not meet his calorie requirement for a given 2-hour period, he will enter a trance state in which he is unable to control himself.
Yeah, okay.
In this state, he will break down and ingest any solid matter in his line of sight.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Shy Guy. How Shy Guy is kind of just like a normal dude, at least that has like superhuman strength and looks kind of weird, and is just really shy. And if you look at Shy Guy, he literally can't help it, and he will come and he'll kill you. And it kind of seems like this guy's in like the same boat where he doesn't want to do it, but he kind of has to do it in order for him to satiate like the hunger that he has. He has to eat stuff until he's full again.
This includes matter that would ordinarily be indigestible, including wood, plastic, and metal.
That's
In this
disgusting.
state, his appetite does not distinguish between living and non-living subjects. When he is in this hunger-driven state, he is aware of all his actions, but cannot stop himself, even when he eats dense materials that cause him extreme discomfort. If this state hits while the subject is sleeping, he will be forced awake. In addition to his anomalous appetite, SCP-913 can rend objects at an estimated force of 3,000 newtons and can bite objects with an estimated force of 5,000 newtons when eating them. Whenever he is not in his trance state, he cannot replicate this strength. An examination of SCP-913's liver tissue showed that it is capable of producing new enzymes in response to foreign material, allowing his body to digest matter that should be highly dangerous to consume.
So
These
he has
enzymes
metal
metabolize
poops.
the substrate at an efficiency of approximately 98%, detoxifying any drugs or toxins consumed by the subject during the hunger state or otherwise. This includes, but is not limited to, amnestics and anesthetics.
Interesting. So he can't be poisoned, he can't be drugged, his body will just, just get out all of the toxins.
913 was first discovered. He was wearing a shirt and dress pants, both with the brand name Doctor's Orders sewn onto their tags. SCP-913 has no tattoos aside from one on his right calf, which
Mr.
reads
Hungry.
Mr. Hungry, from Little Misters by Dr. Wondertainment.
Okay, so this guy was clearly experimented on, and he was created by whoever Dr. Wondertainment is.
Just in case you aren't aware, the Little Misters are a line of humanoid anomalies created by the mysterious Dr. Wondertainment Corporation, including the
Interesting.
fish-headed Mr. Fish, candy-coated Ms. Sweetie, and Mr. Life and Mr. Death.
I've never
who is
heard of
every bit
these.
as existentially upsetting as he sounds. The purpose of these creations is currently unknown, though, like many Dr. Wondertainment products, their existence invites endless speculation. SCP-913 must be contained in a customized humanoid containment cell lined with 1 meter thick carbon steel. 913 is to be provided standard furnishings for his containment cell, coinciding with the usual necessities for a comfortable humanoid dwelling. He may be given pre-recorded entertainment materials, such as concerts, films,
Well, that's
and television
nice.
shows upon request.
You know, even though he's in prison, he has some luxuries like music, television, cell phones, and probably unlimited food. So, kind of sounds pretty nice.
The cell may be accessed via a reinforced carbon steel door. Once every 2 hours, SCP-913 is provided with 1 nutritional supplement as specified in Document 913-2. I attempted to locate a copy of 913-2 for further details on said nutritional supplement, but access to it appears to be limited to researchers assigned to SCP-913.
Really? Interesting.
While
So we
the
don't know
subject
what
is
he
sleeping,
eats.
Nutrition is provided to SCP-913 via a central venous catheter that must be changed once every 3 months. These measures allow SCP-913 to receive the calories that he needs to avoid entering a hunger state, ensuring the safety of everyone on site, as well as his own comfort. Like the rest of the Little Misters, SCP-913 presents a puzzle that may never be solved. I could spend my limited time on this Earth wondering why Dr. Wondertainment would create a being that seems to serve no purpose other than eating as much as
that's
possible,
so random.
lest he unwillingly destroy the environment around him.
He's like an X-Men with a really stupid superpower.
But I believe that would be a waste of time. Why does Dr. Wondertainment do anything that they do? Why create a woman who can turn men into candy soldiers? Why create an ordinary man with a fish head, a tiny top hat, and a Boston accent?
That was
The
so
personal
funny.
motivations of Dr. Wondertainment, whether they are an individual or a massive conglomerate, are as inscrutable to me as the meaning of life itself, or the reasons why a person would want to eat more than 2 hot dogs in one sitting.
3 Class D personnel approach the locked containment chamber. One of them is carrying a bucket and mop, but all 3 of them look jumpy and hesitant to move forward. An SCP Foundation guard walking behind them gives one of them a push forward with the barrel of his gun.
So for those of you guys that haven't seen an SCP video from me before, these guys in the orange jumpsuits are D-class personnel, and they are basically like test subjects that the SCP Foundation puts in with dangerous SCPs to see what will happen.
He continues stepping towards the cell door. All 3 of them nervously stare at the heavy locked metal door. Behind it, the sound of stone scraping against metal can be heard coming from
Oh,
inside.
that's it, guys.
A
That's
second
the
guard
statue
standing next to the
SCP.
door asks the 3 if they are ready. They don't answer, and the
I
guard
wouldn't be.
starts to laugh.
Oh, that's messed
never
up,
are.
dudes.
The guard loudly announces that special containment procedures are beginning now. You know the
Okay.
rules. 2 maintain eye contact at all times while the other cleans. If you have to blink, do it 1 eye at a time, and announce before you close even 1 eye so everyone knows. The guard turns and starts to enter a code into the keypad next to the door. Each of the D classes take a couple hard, last blinks, taking the last opportunity they have to shut both of their eyes at the same time before they begin.
So guys, if you don't know this about the statue SCP, you have to look at it at all times. It's kind of like a weeping angel from the Doctor Who universe, where you have to maintain some sort of eye contact, or else it will come up behind you and it will kill you. Literally, that's what happens. So that's why they're sending in 3 D-class personnel. Now, the only problem is, if there's no light in the room, then you can't see the SCP. So I have a weird feeling that's what's going to happen. The lights will go out, and then the statue will be released into this foundation.
With a loud hiss, the sealed chamber door unseals. All right, eyes up, the guard commands. The door opens to reveal a small, dimly lit chamber. There are no
Ew.
furnishings, and much of the metal floor and walls are covered in a reddish-brown substance.
That stuff is
And there in the
gross.
corner is what they've heard stories and rumors about. The thing that has given them nightmares
Ugh.
ever since they learned that they would have
It's
to enter the containment
hideous.
chamber, SCP-173. Or as most of the staff in the SCP Foundation call it,
The
sculpture.
Oh, sorry, the sculpture, not the
it looks
statue.
so unassuming in person. Just a crude concrete figure with a stupid-looking spray-painted face, standing motionless.
Dr. Bob, you gotta chill, man. Do not offend this SCP, or else this SCP might, come around someday and, do bad things to you.
In the corner. The 3 D-classes get another push from the guard behind them, and they enter the chamber. The 2 assigned to watch SCP-173 assume their position in the middle of the room.
Do
their
not
eyes
blink.
locked on the sculpture, as the other starts cleaning the foul substance off the floor and walls. It smells terrible, like a mix of old blood and human waste.
What is
The 2
that?
assigned to watch 173 pay no attention to the one cleaning, though. They follow protocol to a T, maintaining their vigil and announcing each time they are going to blink, even if it is only one
Can you
eye.
guys do this?
The third one continues cleaning, trying
If
his
you
best
can,
to
leave a
keep
like
his
on
own
today's
eyes
video.
locked on the sculpture as he attempts to mop around it without getting too close. D5933 does his job and doesn't break eye contact with SCP-173.
Oh my gosh,
Even though
they're
it
right
hasn't
next
moved,
to it.
He can feel the presence of the sculpture, something within it, just waiting for him to slip up.
I don't
to let
like
his eyes
this.
avert for just one split second. They say that's all it takes. You stop looking for even an instant, and it's all over. With all of the fear coursing through his veins, it is hard to maintain focus. All he can think about is how dry his eyes feel, and blinking them one at a time never seems to be enough. He wants so badly to shut his eyes, to end their itchy, dry feeling. But he can't. Even with another watcher, it's too risky. There's suddenly a loud crack.
Whoa.
D5933 doesn't move his eyes away from 173.
What?
He can see in his periphery that the other D-class dropped his broom and instinctively looked down at it. Luckily for him, there were others watching.
Okay, guys, I thought that somebody maybe unleashed some other SCP and then it killed one of the other D-class personnel. I thought maybe, I don't know, like SCP-173 decided that, he would just break all rules of the SCP universe and then just start attacking. But it seems like it was just the broom. So for now, I guess they're safe. For now.
D5933 shifts in place, taking a step back and bumps into something. He can't look at what it is, but he reaches behind him and feels that it's the other D-class watcher.
Okay, this is getting
Wait a
kind of
minute.
weird.
Why is he facing the other way?
Is there...
What are you doing? What's going
Wait.
on? He asks, his eyes never leaving SCP-173. What are you talking about? The other D-class asks back.
What's
You're
happening?
facing the wrong way. I'm facing the wrong way. You're facing the wrong way. We're supposed to be watching 173. What are you looking at?
What's happening?
I am looking at 173. What are you...
Guys, wait a second. Are there 2 SCPs? Did it somehow duplicate into 2? Because if that's the case, guys, I don't know if they're gonna survive this encounter. I didn't realize that the sculpture SCP was able to duplicate. I've never heard of that before.
You looking at? D5933 doesn't know what's going on and starts to panic.
I
The one
would too.
cleaning is focused on his task.
Stop,
trying as hard
look
as
at-
he
look
can
at
to
the-
quickly
look at the
mop up
sculpture.
an especially dirty corner of the cell. It's the worst sound D5933 could have heard. Achoo!
No!
A sneeze, just
No!
inches behind his head, followed by the sound of bones
Oh!
being cracked. A
See, guys, that's how you know he's dead. That guy just got destroyed. He got deleted.
scream that was cut off too short, and then a sick thud as a body dropped to the floor. D5933 doesn't even have a chance to scream before a pair of concrete hands grab his neck, and his own head is twisted
you
around.
serious?
To see another identical-looking sculpture staring back at him.
So it did multiply itself somehow, which I've watched videos about the sculpture SCP, guys, and I've never heard of this SCP ever multiplying. Like, it's supposed to be just one sculpture SCP, and that's all that you have to worry about, but there's 2. And if there's 2, that means there could be 3, there could be 4, 5, there could be an infinite amount of these sculpture SCPs.
Ladies and gentlemen of the O5 Council, we have a problem.
Well,
The
yeah.
senior researcher is giving a presentation to a group who remain largely in the shadows, obscuring both their identities as well as their reactions to his horrendous news. SCP-
This will be their reaction. What? It can multiply? What? That's probably what their faces would look like if we could see them.
173, through means which we have not yet been able to determine, has multiplied.
What the heck?
The reaction from
Are
the
you
researcher
kidding
figure
me?
Seated around the large curved table. The researcher in charge of SCP-173 waits for a response, anything at all. But after receiving none, he clears his throat and continues. We gave each of the new instances their own designation, SCP-173-1 and SCP-173-2. 2 of the D-Class on observation duty during their regular cleaning of 173's cell were killed.
Wait, so that means this guy who was cleaning somehow made it out alive. He was able to look at both of the SCPs at the same time. That's honestly pretty impressive. His eyeballs were probably going like in 2 different directions.
The 3rd was able to keep them both in his line of sight until they could be recontained and moved into separate cells.
Wow.
Again, no reaction from the shadows. But as you know, this wasn't the end of it. At some point, the instances of SCP-173 multiplied again, each splitting to form yet another instance.
Guys, I was right. So because there's 2, that means now there could be 3, there could be 4, and there's a confirmed 4 sculpture SCPs, which I don't know if I want to live in a world where there's more than just one of these absolutely terrifying creatures. Like, how are you supposed to contain 1, let alone 4, and they could just keep multiplying?
SCP-173-1 through 4 are all contained separately, but we don't know if or when another split will occur. The senior researcher waits, but no one on the O5 Council speaks or moves until the one seated in the very middle slides a piece of paper across the table in front of him. The senior researcher looks confused. He looks to the mobile task force guard stationed near the door, but he too remains expressionless, eyes locked straight ahead. The researcher, unsure of what else to do, steps away from the lectern and walks towards the table. He picks up the piece of paper and reads it. Object class, upgrade from Euclid to Keter. Orders, continue observation.
So for those of you guys that don't know, there are 3 different classes when it comes to SCP. There's the safe class, which are SCPs that are, you know, like the title kind of says, safe. You don't really have to worry about them too much. Euclid class are SCPs that are kind of like neutral, where if you don't mess with them, they won't mess with you. And the Keter class SCPs are the ones that are extremely dangerous and need to be contained and monitored at all costs. So this guy just got upgraded from like a neutral class to a very aggressive, like red Keter class that they need to make sure stays contained, or else all havoc could break loose.
The senior researcher nods in agreement, thanks the O5 Council for their time, and leaves the room. Lights flash and siren blare in the halls of Site-19. It's a containment breach. Facility staff, researchers, and site guards all run down the hall, screaming, trying desperately to get away.
Seriously?
There's no hope for any of them, though. In a flash, SCP-173 instances appear behind them.
Okay, guys. Well, I mean, I get that this is definitely one of those instances that's super scary, but this is an SCP that, like, we know how to contain. All you have to do is look at it. So if there's a bunch of people that are like trapped with this SCP, all they have to do is go like back to back to back and then just take turns blinking like this. And if you just keep doing this, the SCP can't do anything. So as long as you're doing this, you know, forever, we're okay. You just got to do this until we figure out how to contain this guy. So, yeah.
Snapping their necks and dropping them to the floor before moving on to their next victim. There must be dozens of them. Even as a guard tries to keep their eyes on one instance, preventing it from moving, another appears behind them. The staff of Site-19 flee for their lives, screaming for someone, anyone to help them.
This is
the senior
crazy.
researcher presses pause on the video. The terrified face of the senior researcher who gave the last presentation is frozen on the screen. An instance of SCP-173 is directly behind them.
How did this
his hand
happen?
wrapped around his neck in a split second before his life was snuffed out. The new researcher giving the presentation looks considerably more frazzled than his predecessor. He explains to the O5 Council that following this horrific containment breach at Site-19, at least 61 instances of SCP-173 are now unaccounted for.
61?
It is still unknown how they are replicating, but worryingly, there is evidence that the process may be speeding up. He presses play on a new clip from the security footage, which shows what appears to be multiple instances of 173 working in tandem, some using their bodies to block exits, others creating choke points in the facility corridors. We have theorized that SCP-173, as we are now referring to the collective instances, may possess a form of hive intelligence. It also appears
so basically they all share the same brain of whatever the original SCP-173 is. So maybe if they can locate the original one that started the whole entire like clone multiplication process, maybe, and I'm just spitballing here, maybe if they destroy that somehow, some way, or at least contain it, then they'll be able to contain all of the other SCPs, but we really have no idea.
This intelligence scales with the number of instances that are nearby. This allowed them to implement tactics that thwarted our containment efforts. as they used instances to block our containment teams from being able to pursue others. What you have in front of you is a proposal for revised special containment procedures. What I recommend may sound drastic, but it's what I truly believe is the only way to contain this threat.
You gotta do a nuclear bomb. Just nuke the whole place. Blow it up.
Shadows that obscure them. What I propose is that SCP-173 instances no longer be kept in containment cells, but instead placed inside of form-fitting metal containers. We can then use SCP-120 to transport the instances to the Foundation site on the lunar surface. The facility will have to be abandoned, of course.
I'd never heard of SCP-120, but I'm guessing that is some sort of safe class SCP that you could use to just teleport things wherever you really want to teleport them to. So that's pretty cool.
Of course. It's too risky to maintain a presence there, but each of the instances will be fitted with a tracking collar to ensure that we will be able to detect if any of them are somehow able to escape. The senior researcher waits. After a time, a paper is once again slid across the table. He approaches and picks it up. He sees that it is the same folder containing the revised special containment procedures proposal.
So guys, the people that are giving these like special documents is the O5 Council, and they're basically like the people at the top of the SCP Foundation. They give out the orders, they make new SCP Foundation sites, they, discover new SCPs, and they basically are the people that are calling the shots. They're kind of like the presidents of the SCP Foundation.
He opens it to find that it has been stamped, approved.
Oh, cool. So that's the plan.
Breaking news flashes across the screen. A worried-looking reporter appears as though she didn't have time to do her hair or makeup before rushing on air to deliver this special report.
Okay.
She explains that civilian deaths across North America are now estimated to be more than 500,000 people in the last 48 hours, as these still unidentified creatures continue their deadly rampage across the continents.
Are you kidding me? The SCP Foundation completely failed, and they literally let the SCP go on a rampage. That is insane.
It is unknown how many of them there may be.
Hide your kids, hide your wife, just hide.
That there may be hundreds, if not thousands, or even tens of thousands of these living, neck-snapping sculptures. The reporter explains that rumors are circulating that the creature can be stopped by maintaining eye contact with it.
Yes.
But this has yet to be confirmed. There is still no official word from the White House or from any members of Congress, and their current location and status are unknown, following reports that most of Washington, D.C. was overrun by the creatures earlier that day. The reporter suddenly stops speaking.
Oh,
and
no.
a terrified look comes over her face.
Oh, they're
her
there.
Eyes locked on something just off screen.
Oh, dude.
The camera pans over to show an instance of SCP.
The cameraman is an SCP.
P-173 standing over a dead cameraman.
Oh, no, that's
There's
the
a
cameraman.
scream, and the camera goes back to the reporter, who now lies dead on her desk.
All
her
right.
head twisted 180 degrees before there's another sound of bones breaking.
Okay.
A woman in an SCP researcher coat sits at a computer terminal in a secure bunker, a large, jeweled medallion around her neck.
Okay, that has to be an
Personal
SCP.
log of Dr. Bright. From the little news I've been able to gather, it sounds like SCP-173 has besieged and destroyed 4 Foundation facilities pretty much simultaneously in the last 24 hours. Each instance...
Guys, the sculpture is about to take over the entire world. Like, I knew this SCP was deadly, but the thing was, it was contained when there was just one of them. So if they ever, did multiply, this is probably what would happen.
shows the same strength as the original, and thousands of them working together are capable of ripping open concrete bunkers and compromising foot-thick steel doors.
Wow.
I alone have been killed 37 times in the last week. They can smell me, somehow,
What?
regardless of what body I'm in. The majority decision of the remaining O5s is that this is an XK-class end-of-the-world scenario
Oh
unfolding.
my goodness.
They're gonna deal with the problem, or else the Russians are. They're evacuating this base, which means there won't be a single Foundation scientist anywhere in the New World. They say they're gonna try to evacuate the surviving civilians, but I doubt it. There can't be more than a couple hundred people in all of North America anyway.
That's it?
I managed to make it down to a secure bunker, but who knows how long it will be until they're able to get in.
So I am kind of curious about one thing, guys, which I'm sure that you guys are too. How do the SCPs, how does the sculpture know where people are, right? Because they're going around and obviously they're destroying all of civilization, but it's kind of strange that they know exactly where to go. This location seems like it's in the middle of nowhere, and somehow these SCPs are able to track this person down and kill them. They're gonna break down this door, they're gonna go down into the bunker, and bada bing, bada boom, it's over. So I don't know how they're this smart, honestly. So comment down below if you have any ideas.
I don't think there's any chance I can get out either. I'm running out of food, and I'm not sure which will get me first. hunger,
Ew.
the sculptures,
Ugh.
or what I know the O5s will inevitably do. Dr.
What are they
Wright
going to
closes the
do?
computer terminal and sits back in her chair. She looks up at the ceiling of the bunker where the sound of concrete scratching against metal
Oh,
can be
they're
heard
there.
through the thick walls.
They're there, dude.
A sullen and tired-looking researcher steps out of a room in the makeshift foundation site that has been established just outside of Amsterdam in the Netherlands. He's holding a piece of paper and closes the door behind him, which has had O5 Council authorized entry only hastily painted on the outside. A small group of Foundation staff are waiting for him. They've gathered to hear what the overseers have decided to do in the face of this world-ending disaster. The researcher looks around at his colleagues' faces, and as they make eye contact,
it doesn't look
any hope
good.
they had is quickly replaced by the bad news they know is coming. He begins to read. Revised Special Containment Procedures. Containment Zone X1, formerly North and South America, is to be denied access. Following
What?
saturation nuclear bombing, the number of
What?
SCP-173 instances has been reduced.
I know I said that earlier, that they should have like nuked the original site, and it seems like they did that. It's just like a day a day too late, it seems. So yeah, they totally should have took my advice and done that at the start.
All available Foundation resources are to be redirected to monitoring the ocean to ensure the integrity of Containment Zone X1. Foundation adjuncts from national navies are to perform around-the-clock patrols and sonar sweeps. Detected instances are to be contained and removed to SCP-120 for transport to the lunar containment site. That's it? One of the staff members asks. That's it,
Wow.
the researcher replies. Several of those present begin to cry.
I mean,
There's
I
nothing
would
more they can
too.
do. Their homes,
It's
their
over.
friends, their families, all of them are gone. Killed either by the neck-wrenching sculptures or in the heat of a nuclear blast.
Guys, I know that this seems really bad, but imagine if instead of this sculpture, it was Shy Guy that could multiply. Shy Guy is an SCP that's, I think, even more powerful than the sculpture. So, like, just imagine that. Imagine, like, a million Shy Guys running around and then just destroying everything and everybody. That would be way worse than this. And you can't even really destroy them.
Why? Why did they have to do it? One of the other staff, who appears to be a former site guard, asks. That's all we could do, another argues. There's much disagreement in the small crowd. No matter how they feel, though, this was the official order from the O5 Council. Their word is law, especially in a world where all law and order outside of the Foundation has broken down. There really was no other option. All they can do now is hope that the sacrifice of 2 whole continents was enough to keep it contained, that SCP-173 is unable to cross the ocean to Europe, and that they remain safe on this side of the planet. The group grows quiet, mourning the loss of the world they once knew, when the silence is suddenly interrupted by someone running down the hall. It's another researcher, carrying his own piece of paper. He tries to push past the group towards the O5 Council's door, insisting that they let him through.
Mr.
But he
Glasses has a
important news that
solution.
can't wait. What is it? Demands the group. We deserve to know. The group wrestles the paper away from the junior researcher, and it is passed through the group to the same man who read the revised special containment procedures. He quickly reads the report. It's just a couple of lines, and his face goes white.
Oh.
What is it? What does it say? Comes a question from the crowd. A message from the North Atlantic Navy General Command. Verified sighting of SCP-173 in the United Kingdom. Nuclear bombardment authorized and executed.
What?
No survivors. SCP-173 has come for them.
How did it get over the ocean? How is that possible? And that's it. That is literally what would happen if SCP-173 multiplied. It would take over the entire world, and that would basically be it for practically 99% of all humans. Let's go into this, boys.
The sun rises over the battlefield. The American flag flaps gently in the wind. The world is silent. Bang! The door slams open, and the boy runs out of the house, making plane noises with his mouth. The toy bomber in his hand arcs and soars, dipping and diving, as it makes its imaginary bombing run around the backyard, over the sandbox, swooping low through the thick grass, past the pond, under the swing set, and up and away into the sky, climbing higher and higher in the direction of the treehouse, with its American flag flapping in the morning breeze. What a perfect day. The boy breathes in the air deeply and looks around. His shoulders slump. He's bored already. 2 seconds in the yard and he's already bored.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna make just a little prediction like I do in these SCP videos. So, based off of the title alone, I'm going to guess that maybe this kid's parents are SCP facility workers. Maybe they're scientists, and maybe one of them accidentally brings home an SCP called militaristic Play-Doh, and the kid thinks it's an actual toy, and then he starts playing with it, and then the SCP slowly and steadily starts to take over all of his toys, and it actually turns into like the bombers and the tanks, and maybe even like soldiers that actually do damage and like can fight for you and stuff. And this guy will be the new president of the United States just because he has the SCP. That's my prediction.
What is there to do out here that he hasn't already done? He's played in the sand, he's swung on the swings, he's climbed up to the treehouse. He hears the car engine kicking into life somewhere out front. His dad's voice carries over to him on the breeze.
Oh.
I'm running late for work, I'll see you later. If you find my bag anywhere, don't go looking inside of it, just tell me where it is when I get home. Love you, bye.
Okay, wait a second, guys. That is definitely it. The dad literally just told the kid not to do something, which obviously, what does that make the kid want to do? It makes him want to look inside of the flipping bag. This dad is stupid.
The wheels crunch through the gravel driveway, and the engine sound slowly fades into the distance, leaving the boy alone in the backyard again, with nothing but the wind for company. Great. Now he's got to find something to do for the whole day. He throws the toy bomber to the ground in frustration. A wing snaps off and bounces away into the flower bed. Uh-oh. He'll need to fix that before Dad gets home. Super glue. That'll do the trick. There must be some inside. His dad is always fixing things. But the boy's mission is almost immediately sidetracked. As soon as he steps into the house, he spots his dad's bag right by the back door, where he always forgets to look. The boy looks at it curiously for a moment. He wonders what's in there that his dad told him not to look at. He'll just have a little peek.
Okay, if the SCP is inside of this briefcase, that is the worst dad on planet Earth. How could you know, first off, that there's an SCP inside of your house with a child? Like, that is crazy. That is insane. And then you leave it there? You cannot leave the house knowing that you left an SCP at home, especially one like this, which is probably a Euclid or a Keter class. You can't do that.
Not a proper look. He won't even open the bag all the way. Just a little look inside. If anyone asks, he'll say he was looking for superglue. Wait, what's that? It can't be. A little pot with a red lid and big cartoonish letters on the side. Play-Doh? What's his dad doing with a pot of Play-Doh in his bag?
Good question there,
his dad had a
son.
really grown-up job. That's what his mom always says. His dad has a very secret grown-up job, very important, very secret. Is that really what he does at work all day? Play with Play-Doh? The boy is far too grown up for Play-Doh. He hasn't played with it for years because it's for babies.
No, Play-Doh's awesome.
Nope, he's a big boy who plays with real toys. But still, a little look won't hurt. He'll take it out, squeeze it in his hands a bit, remember how babyish it is, and put it back.
Don't do it.
He definitely isn't going to play with it.
Don't do
The
it.
boy pops the red lid off and
Don't
peers inside.
do it.
Yep, just as he thought. Boring. Just a lump of red putty. Sitting there being all...
I'm getting really
all
nervous.
boring. But as the boy tips the pot out into his hand, it feels a bit weird.
Oh,
He moves a little in his palm.
boy.
Is there an insect inside it or something? It feels like a pair of little legs.
What?
He rolls the lump over into his other hand and peers at it. Yes, a pair of legs sticking out from the red ball. Only they're not insect legs at all. They're tiny, about the size of insect legs, but there are only 2 of them.
Okay, guys, comment down below what you would do in this exact situation. You found your dad's briefcase, you take it out, and you play with the Play-Doh, and the Play-Doh turns out not to be normal Play-Doh, and it has little tiny legs that are kicking outside of the Play-Doh. What the flip do you do? Comment down below. Personally speaking, I'm pulling out the legs, right? Like, what else would you do, honestly? Either that, or I'd probably go tell my mom and tell her that dad is some sort of sorcerer that can turn Play-Doh into living people. But I'd probably do the first thing.
They're totally red, matching the color of the Play-Doh, and seem to have a tiny pair of boots on the ends of them. The legs wiggle around helplessly, sticking up into the air, until all of a sudden, a hand appears sticking up out of the clay.
Hello.
It looks like a tiny person has somehow been buried in the Play-Doh upside down. The hand gets a good grip on the red ball and pushes and pulls at it, steadily freeing the rest of its body.
Oh, it's a toy
fully
soldier.
formed tiny man pops out of the surface. Roughly the size of the boy's
That's so
fingernail,
cool.
The little red man stands up straight
Wow.
and takes in his surroundings. Not only is the tiny person wearing boots, he's also got a backpack and a helmet on his miniature head.
Does he have
all
a
made of
gun?
Play-Doh. In fact, this tiny person looks just like one of those little green army man toys that his dad had when he was little. The little soldier looks up and sees the boy staring down at him, jumping back in fright. The boy laughs. He guesses he must look pretty scary to someone so small. He smiles at the little army man. The little army man very slowly lowers himself down to his knees, reaching down to the Play-Doh floor he's standing on.
Well, is he going to grab a
The
gun?
red hand seems to be feeling around for something in the putty.
Oh, he's definitely looking for his weapon.
Fascination. The boy stares closely as the Play-Doh
No,
under the soldier's
squish him.
hand
Squish
morphs
him like
into
a
the shape
bug.
of- What is that?
A gun.
Gun.
Whoa.
The soldier lifts the tiny red rifle to his shoulder and points it straight at the boy's eye.
Oh, no.
He fires, and to the boy's surprise, something comes out. A stream of teeny tiny Play-Doh bullets pepper his eyeball.
Oh, my
The boy
gosh.
throws the Play-Doh ball as hard as he can and blinks hard.
Okay,
A tiny
good.
scream goes.
I thought for a second that the Play-Doh little toy soldier, when he built the gun would have like actual gun-like tendencies and he would have just like killed the kid. But luckily that's not what happened, and it actually just shot out little Play-Doh pellets. I still don't understand how that works, but it's way better than him actually like firing a real high-powered weapon.
With it. The bullets didn't really hurt that much, but his eye is a little watery now. The tiny soldier has a real working tiny assault rifle. He's starting to understand why his dad is still playing with Play-Doh. Where did that Play-Doh go? He must have thrown it into the backyard. The boy runs outside and looks around. There it is, just next to the sandbox. He creeps up to the ball cautiously, trying to see if the little soldier is still there. Wait, hang on. There he is. No, there he is.
Oh,
Is there
there's
another one?
more.
He kneels and peers at the small crowd gathering around the ball.
Oh my gosh,
Can't
there's
quite
so
believe
many.
What he's seeing. Dozens of little men are milling around the red ball, with more marching out of it in formation every few seconds. Little red Play-Doh tents are
What?
being erected in a perimeter around the ball.
But you would think they would run out of Play-Doh by now. I mean, look, they built... How many soldiers is that? That's like 69 soldiers, and they have 2 tents, and it looks like they still have a giant ball of Play-Doh left. I mean, honestly, guys, it is pretty cool. When I was younger, and I'm sure when you were younger too, and if you're still younger, like, this would be such a cool thing that if you had Play-Doh and, like, you built stuff with it, that it would just come to life. That would be the coolest thing ever.
A couple of tiny soldiers chop down a twig with tiny red axes and start a campfire. A mini red jeep weaves its way
How'd they
through the
make
grass,
fire?
and a general hops out, with a cowering officer by his side. The tiny general barks tiny orders. It's difficult to hear what the man is saying, but it sounds like he's speaking English, only really high-pitched. He points to a group of soldiers who immediately rush over to the ball of Play-Doh and pull a ladder out of it. They rest the ladder against the edge of the sandbox, and a couple of them hurry their way to the top. Climbing up onto the wooden board, the pair of them split up, rifles in hand, checking the area is clear.
Okay, it is kind of strange, guys. It seems like this militaristic Play-Doh has some sort of objective. Like, we don't know exactly what that is, whether it's to take over the world or to take over a sandbox. We don't know exactly what they're doing yet, and it's kind of making me a little bit creeped out because I don't know what their intentions are. I don't know what the heck they're doing, but for the most part, every single SCP wants something. Like Shy Guy, for instance, doesn't want to be seen, so he like hides and doesn't really, come into contact with people. The statue wants to be seen, so every time you look at him, he doesn't move, but when you don't look at him, he attacks you, and it seems like every other SCP kind of has some sort of motive, but I don't know what these guys are doing. So, I don't know. Comment down below your thoughts.
The general is the next up the ladder. He surveys the yard with a battle-worn wariness, eyes coming to rest on the treehouse. He pulls out his binoculars and takes a good hard look at it, studying every inch of the tree before
They're going
spotting
to
a flagpole
conquer.
rising from the top. Lowering the binoculars with evident satisfaction, the general points a tiny hand at the enormous tree and cries out an order at the top of his little voice.
He said smash like and
A
subscribe.
high pitch rises from the troops on the ground. They pump fists and slap backs. The army has grown already. As the boy looks back down at the platoon gathering in the grass, he sees a dozen more tents have sprung up.
That is
A
so
group of soldiers
cool.
stand in formation around the ball of Play-Doh, keeping watch in every direction. And there, a soldier sits on an acorn crying.
Why?
Helmet in his hands, he weeps openly.
Huh?
There is a red cross on the tent next to him. That must be the medical tent. The boy crouches down on all fours and peers inside the tent. There, on the tiny red bed, surrounded by tiny red nurses, lies a soldier. His legs are bent out of shape,
Ooh.
and he's crying out in pain. A doctor approaches and gives him the bad news before readying the saw.
What?
The boy sits back up. He can't watch. A high-pitched cry echoes from the tent, loud enough to dampen the commotion around the rest of the camp. The boy recognizes that scream. It's the same scream he heard when he threw the Play-Doh out of the door. That first brave soldier, defending his brothers in arms from the giant. What had the boy done? The soldier
Oh,
outside the
he
medical
injured
tent
him.
picks up the phone. and informs the tiny soldier's tiny family what had happened. He had lost both his legs, but not his life.
No!
He was a hero. The battalion is mobilizing.
So wait a second, are they going to attack this like 10-year-old kid named Jimmy? You know, he didn't really do anything that wrong other than, you know, throw one of their comrades and he had both of his legs chopped off. But other than that, I mean, he's pretty innocent in this war. Is it a war? What are they doing? What is happening?
No time to mourn. Snipers climb the ladder onto the edge of the sandbox and set up nests all along the wooden beam as trucks rumble through the thick grass below. On the other side of the sandbox wall, a desert platoon makes its way through the scorching heat. Soldiers sit atop tanks,
How much
shaking
Play-Doh
the last
do they
remaining drops
have?
of doughy water from their red bottles and wiping sweat from their brows. All of them heading in the direction of the treehouse. The boy stands up, surrounded by tiny soldiers. He has to be careful where he steps now as they fill the grass around him. A couple of tanks rumble between his feet, flattening the blades of grass as if they were as weak as, well, blades of grass. All of the soldiers, all of the equipment and vehicles, everything is coming from the little ball of red Play-Doh. And little is the right word for it. With every new unit deployed to the front line, the ball shrinks slightly. It's getting smaller and smaller by the minute. They're going to need reinforcements. The boy rushes into the house and returns in just a few seconds.
Oh,
arms
no!
laden with Play-Doh.
Why is he doing this, bro? I mean, honestly, if I was a 10-year-old kid and this started to happen, I'd probably do the same exact thing. I would want to see them take over as much as possible because that is super cool that your Play-Doh has come to life. Literally, your Play-Doh has turned into like an entire army, so I would want to see it play out.
He's got every pot of it from when he was little. He pops them all open, one after the other, and throws them onto the ground in the midst of the camp. The only slight
that is a nice touch that they're gray, because honestly, mine also turned like either gray or brown because I would always combine the colors together, and then eventually you just combine too many colors together, and then it kind of turns into a mess.
Is that all the Play-Doh is that gross brown color that it goes when you mix all the colors together. That won't matter, will it? Gunfire breaks out almost immediately below him. The boy jumps back in surprise, stepping on a communications mast by accident. Tiny brown soldiers rush out of the Play-Doh balls all around the camp, diving into cover and opening fire.
Wait a second, so the kid also had militaristic Play-Doh since he was a kid? There's no way, right? Because he definitely played with them before, but this didn't happen. So maybe the SCP-705 can spread to other Play-Dohs that are like in the area.
The red soldiers. It's a massacre. Red soldiers taking a rest from the front line, calling their loved ones, getting ready to go home on leave, lying injured in beds. All of them are gunned down. Most don't even have a chance to grab their rifles. One brave red soldier sprints to the communications mast and tries to radio the rest of the battalion, telling them what's happened, but the mast is destroyed. A stray bullet catches him in the side of his head, and he crumbles to the ground, just a lifeless blob of Play-Doh. The boy watches in horror as a couple of brown soldiers pick up the body and toss it into the nearest ball of brown Play-Doh.
Oh my gosh!
A dedicated team of them mix the body in with the rest of the dough until it's that same brown color.
What?
From the blob emerges a new brown soldier. The small red streak running across his heart is the only sign that he'd ever been a red at all. The soldier quickly disappears amongst the mass of helmets and boots.
Oh my gosh, they
trampling any
turned him
trace
into one of
the
their
Red
own.
Army.
It's
The
like a
whole yard
virus.
erupts in tiny warfare. The red snipers lining the walls of the sandbox are picked off one after the other. The desert platoon are ambushed by landmines and quickly surrounded, hiding in
I wish I had popcorn. This is so cool.
All around them. Before long, the brown troops have them completely surrounded. One last soldier bursts out from the hatch in his tank, holding grenades in each hand. The bullet catches him in the head before he can even finish his war cry. The grenades explode harmlessly. nowhere near the brown troops.
God.
The red convoy, on its way to the tree, stands the best chance of survival. The boy follows them with fascination, watching as the brown army fight their way through the red line from the back, splitting it through the middle as their superior firepower makes
See, I don't understand why the 10-year-old kid, like, why doesn't he just help them? Obviously, he sees that they're all fighting, and I don't know what side he's technically on, but if I was him, I would just start stomping all of the gray soldiers and just be like a giant Kidzilla that's smashing and, like, crashing and destroying everything in existence. That would be my personal dream. That would be so fun.
Transport and supply trucks. Some red soldiers dive away into the thick grass, climbing up dandelions and weeds in a desperate attempt to escape.
I don't know why that's so funny.
As the bodies fall back into the mud like raindrops. A tiny screaming noise fills the yard. The boy turns around just in time to jump out of the way of the brown fighter jets. 5 of them streak through the air, almost at his head height.
No.
Missiles fire out of the bottom of each
Are
jet,
you
one
kidding
after
me?
the other,
What in the
blowing apart
world?
what little remains of the Red convoy.
They have planes?
Gunfire dies down within the hour. Skirmishes break out across the yard as Brown patrols pick off the stragglers they find from the Red Army hiding in ants' nests, under fallen leaves, and huddling around broken-down vehicles. The boy watches as several high-ranking officers gather in the Brown base to oversee the absorption of the last of the Red ball of Play-Doh. They mold themselves a big meeting table with a brown map of the yard and plot out their strategy for taking the treehouse for themselves, moving around even tinier little model units across the surface of it with sticks.
Okay, this is getting way
Plan
too
quickly
realistic.
comes together before the boy's eyes and under his feet. A series of mortars and surface-to-air missiles are deployed
They have
along the wall of the
missiles?
sandbox. The Air Force takes over the original Brown base,
Bro.
chopping down blades of grass and laying out Play-Doh
No
runways
way.
flanked with brown hangars. A ring of military units surround the base of the treehouse, strategizing about how best to ascend the colossal structure and reach the flagpole. In the pond, an aircraft carrier splashes into the
Are
water,
you kidding me?
marking the arrival of the Navy.
No
The ship is soon
way.
flanked by a pair of destroyers.
This is all playing out in a backyard.
Armed with anti-aircraft missiles. The boy is about to go over and peer into the water to try and spot a nuclear submarine. when he comes
Nuclear
across a sight for
submarine?
sore eyes. Red soldiers, not much more than a single squadron, hunkered down around the base of the swing set. They've covered themselves in dirt and little clumps of moss to camouflage. They must be the forwardmost scout squadron, just far enough away from that original convoy to escape the slaughter. But what are they doing? The units are all gathered around a pile of leaves. There's something underneath. What is it? It looks like plastic. Of course.
Oh, it's his
toy bomber
plane.
with the broken wing. Trying not to draw the
Oh.
attention of the Brown Army, the boy drops to the ground next to the Red units, doing his best
He's
to hide
joining
the
in on the
grass.
fight.
The Red soldiers are arguing amongst themselves. The general is there. He's survived, but barely, slumped against a blade of grass. The scouts' high-pitched arguing is a little too quiet for the boy to make out, but it's pretty clear what's going on. They need to get the toy plane working, but it'll be hopeless without the other wing. He lifts his head and looks around the yard. There it is, in the flower bed, but it's surrounded by Brown troops. How could the Red soldiers possibly fight their way to it and get back
Just
on board?
help them. Just
Oh,
you go
wait.
do it.
The boy just gets up, walks over to the flower bed, and picks up the wing. In about 3 seconds, he completes an insurmountable effort for those little soldiers. Kneeling next to them, he offers the missing wing. The scouts all stand back warily.
Just
It's
take
the
the
general who
wing.
climbs to his feet and walks over to the boy. He looks at the plastic wing, looks up at the giant towering over him, and raises his arm in a salute.
Salute.
The others follow suit quickly.
Thank you,
and get to work
Kidzilla.
preparing the toy plane. Brown soldiers notice the commotion and start to close in on them.
No,
They
just
don't have
start
much time.
kicking.
The boy
Stop
stamps out a
them.
runway for the soldiers in the grass. The plane is almost ready to go, but is missing one vital piece of the propeller.
What?
Only there's a bigger problem. They're out of red Play-Doh.
Oh no.
A brown soldier breaks through the thick grass and rushes towards the squadron, his assault rifle peppering the side of the plane with doughy bullets. The scouts all dive into the vehicle and kick the engine into gear. Little red gears and pistons whir into life beneath the plastic, but the plane just isn't moving without the propeller. What can they do? The brown soldier stops in his tracks, staring at the plane. The boy peers at him closer. There's a red streak across his heart. Conflict contorts the tiny soldier's face. The door to the plane opens, and out steps the general.
Okay.
The two soldiers face each other on the runway, the Red Scouts desperately calling the general to get back in. None of them move. The brown soldier raises his rifle and shoots the general in the
What?
head. The older man
No.
crumples to the ground.
No
Inside the
way!
plane, the scouts start to panic. They don't have their guns with
Can
them.
they turn him
Brown
into a
Army is bearing
propeller?
down on them from all sides. What can they do? The brown soldier with the streak across his heart walks slowly over to the general's body, stoops down, and picks him up. He carries the body around to the front of the plane.
Yes,
Without
that's
a
what they're
word,
gonna do.
Starts using the Play-Doh to build them a propeller.
He
Brown
got
soldiers
turned into
burst
a
through the grass,
propeller.
swarming the runway. They need to leave, now or never. The brown soldier places the propeller onto the
Thank
plane.
you,
and
General.
Steps aside as the
You will
vehicle
fly
roars off
high.
along the runway. He salutes the ascending plane as one of his brown compatriots puts a bullet in his chest, right through his
Oh
red heart.
no.
But the plane is already away, lifting off into the sky. The toy bomber dodges and weaves its way between the whizzing bullets. It banks hard, pulling the nose around inch by inch to face the treehouse. The pilot guns it, pulling the tiny stick back sharply.
Imagine like the neighbor's kids are watching from next door and they're like, yeah, you're not allowed to play with that kid anymore. He's weird.
It seems to take an age for the bomber to climb. The boy glances behind him just in time to see the Brown Navy launch their missiles, 6 of them, all making a beeline.
How do they have missiles? They were made out of Play-Doh.
He sticks a hand
Play-Doh, I say.
The missiles out of the air.
He literally just stopped that.
Leaving streaks of brown Play-Doh on his hand. The others spiral to the ground, where tiny soldiers dive for cover.
Take
the Brown
that.
Air Force scrambles, but it's too late. As the jets shoot across the yard, the bomber has already reached its destination. The scouts jump out, deploying red Play-Doh parachutes as
What
they
is
circle
up
their
there
way
that
down
they
onto the
want so bad?
flagpole. A jet catches up to the bomber and blows it out of the sky. The scouts don't have time to mourn their lost pilot, or any of their dead for that matter. Quick as they can, they cut the American flag free. As it flutters and floats down to the grass, the squadron unfurls its replacement, a red rectangle of Play-Doh, barely a couple of inches across. One of them pulls a bugle from his pack and plays the highest
Does
pitch
that mean
version
they
of
won?
the last post you could ever hear. The whole battlefield falls silent to listen. The boy places a hand over his heart just as the first drop of rain hits his shoulder. From somewhere inside, his mom's voice calls, "It's about to start raining. Come inside before you catch a cold.
Does she not
I'm
see
making
this
cocoa."
happening?
The boy grins and runs into the house. Outside, the rain pours, and all trace of the war washes away
Wow.
into red and brown streaks in the dirt.
How about
And with
that?
you'd be forgiven for thinking that SCP-705 had never even been in that young boy's backyard.
Yeah, honestly, guys, I am very, very confused, especially because the mom came outside and she didn't say anything. So is this SCP actually real, or is it just like a figment of his imagination?
Most adults would just dismiss the boy's afternoon entertainment as a figment of a child's imagination, but most adults have not encountered SCP-705, otherwise known as militarized Play-Doh. The results of a redacted megacorporation's research into creating a self-molding product. The specific mechanics of how this militarized Play-Doh was created are hazy, to say the least. What is known is that the small red blob of what appears to be the popular children's sculpting toy exhibits aggressive militaristic tendencies. As soon as the 5-ounce pot is opened, SCP-705 activates, forming itself into miniature Play-Doh soldiers. Each unit comes dressed in detailed and accurate military fatigues, carrying miniaturized weaponry and equipment, all of which...
Yo, I know Toys R Us is out of business, but I don't know. Somebody has to take notes and make this real, just a little less deadly.
identically to their real-life counterparts, aside from one small detail. Everything is made entirely from Play-Doh. When active, SCP-705 can divide into hundreds of infantrymen, each of which seems to have some level of personal autonomy. As of yet, no hive mind mentality has been observed between the soldiers. They all communicate as their real-life military equivalents would, through barking orders, strategizing, and working together. Upon activation, each instance of SCP-705 is highly territorial, seeking to take immediate control of the nearest location or object that seems to be of strategic importance.
That's so funny.
This could be anything from a coffee machine to a treehouse.
Coffee
What appear to
machine.
be innocuous household objects to us pose an incredible tactical advantage to the tiny soldiers, many of whom are willing to sacrifice their lives to take control. The longer this militarized Play-Doh is allowed to roam free, the more advanced the military unit becomes.
Oh,
Leadership
cool.
figures emerge, battle plans grow more and more advanced, and technology improves. While the Play-Doh may initially take the form of a handful of infantry units, if left to their own devices, these units will soon be riding on the backs of tanks, firing miniguns through the doors of attack helicopters, or even developing rudimentary navies and air forces. And
That
of course,
part's
you have seen
crazy.
what happens when SCP-705 comes into contact with a regular pot of Play-Doh. The otherwise harmless putty will take on the same characteristics as this militarized Play-Doh. If the two groups of soldiers are the same color, they will form an alliance. If they are
Oh.
different colors, well, that's where the fun begins. Containing SCP-705 is relatively straightforward. Simply gathering all
Yeah,
of
it
the
seems
Play-Doh
pretty
together
easy.
and putting it back into its 5-ounce pot with the lid closed will neutralize the tiny army entirely. This, coupled with how harmless the tiny, doughy bullets are, means that SCP-705 requires little security. It is housed in Sector 2 safe SCP containment with the lid closed. The only accidental outbreak that has occurred since its containment has been in the break room, when a researcher accidentally left the lid open while they went to the bathroom. When the researcher returned, all they needed to do to rescue their coffee from the clutches of a crazed Play-Doh general was brush a few soldiers off the counter. This is a day SCP-705 still talks about often, with deep fear and reverence. If you want to support this important mission,
Get ready for this
Flying
one.
amongst
This
shards
is
of broken
weird.
glass in the middle of the road. The dawn sky above the biker looks almost peaceful. It's as if nothing had gone wrong at all, as if everything is right in the world. But slowly, the throbbing pain washes into his helmeted head, and the sound of the traffic surrounding him rises in his ears. A sea of onlookers gathers around as the cars blast their horns. Through the cracked visor of his helmet, the biker can see concerned faces, people calling emergency services, and a few women crying. His paramedic bike is toppled on its side about 40 feet from him. There are long black tire marks running up to where it lies, smoking slightly on its side.
He must have crashed.
With a groan, the biker sits himself up and shakes his head. Bad idea. Looking around, though, it seems he's the only one injured. His bike had gone into the front of a car at the junction. The occupants of the car stand by nervously, offering him whatever little assistance they can.
I know that this has really nothing to do with the SCP, but like, this is why I am terrified of motorcycles. You never know when something bad like this could happen, and motorcycles are not very safe. So I don't know. This guy definitely is lucky to be alive right now because he got into a car accident with a car and he was just on a bicycle.
But there's no time for that, the biker suddenly realizes. He looks down at his watch frantically.
What?
It's 12:03 p.m. There's not enough time.
For what?
He rushes over to the bike as fast as he can and
What's
lifts
happening?
it back upright. A couple of onlookers try to grab his arms, trying to sit down to rest, but he can't. There's no time.
What does he have to do?
He has just 3 minutes to get to St. Mary's Hospital in central London.
What?
Right now, he's at the junction outside Baker Street Station. He can still make it on time if he gets on his bike and goes now. The biker swings his leg onto the bike and kicks it into life.
What does he have to
takes a
get
deep
there
gulp
for?
And looks over his shoulder at the box on the back of his bike. He can't risk opening it here. The damage may already be done.
Okay, guys, I wonder if the SCP is in the box in his, motorcycle, or if maybe the SCP hasn't even been introduced yet, and maybe he's just like trying to get like, I don't know, maybe some like an organ for an organ donor or somebody that like needs blood or something. Maybe he's just transporting something that's super vital that he needs to get it to the hospital immediately so that somebody like doesn't die.
But if the heart is still alive in that
Oh, it
box,
is. Okay, so it's just a heart
that a 10-year-old boy has for a normal life.
Oh, wow.
If he doesn't get to the hospital in the next 3 minutes, his life could be over.
Okay, so the stakes are very high right now.
The stand in a circle, looking down at the dead bird with a morbid fascination. Do you think it's alive?
Okay, that's Harry Potter.
The boy in the middle of the group goes to pick up a stick. With an air of false confidence, he walks up to the bird and gives it a prod.
Wait, is this the same thing?
It makes a squelching noise.
Ew.
The other kids all reel in shock, making retching noises and laughing about it. It's only when their teacher comes out to call
Okay,
them.
guys, I do have another theory, which I like to do during these SCP videos. I think that maybe the little boy is the one that maybe ate SCP-839, because the nickname of this SCP is candied worms, which is like probably just like a gummy worm or something like that. So I'm thinking that maybe the little boy ate this SCP and then like it infected him, which is why he now needs like a brand new heart, because the SCP maybe took over his. That's my theory right now. I have no idea if I'm actually right, but let's find out.
Outside, that the group disperses, leaving the animal carcass alone, sitting at the edge of the playground, outside the view of boring adults. Each passing day, the kids wander over to the bird's body. It's kind of the best biology lesson they've ever had, as they watch the animal slowly decompose. At first, its body just shrinks, goes flat almost.
I don't know if I want to see this.
Feathers start falling out, and it loses all of its color. Then it starts to get puffy. Different parts of its flesh bulge out in weird places, as if they're being inflated like a balloon animal at someone's birthday party. But then, the maggots come. There are only a couple of tiny white crawling wriggles
I don't like it.
But a couple of days after that, it's infested with them.
I hate it.
The creepy
I
crawlies
hate that.
wriggle all over the body. But as the boy looks down at the dead bird,
Harry,
he spots something very peculiar, something
please.
they haven't seen in a biology.
Please tell me. Okay, if he sees a little tiny gummy worm and he eats it, I actually might throw up.
Class before, there's a red maggot wriggling and crawling in amongst the rest of the creepy crawlies.
What?
It squirms like the rest of them, but even over the course of the school day, it quickly grows larger than any of the others.
Huh?
What do you think it is? The boy stares at it. It looks like a worm. And a worm is exactly what it was. The next day, when the kids return, they see that the red maggot is now much
okay, this is gross. I hate this. I want to burn it with a flamethrower.
Cherry red coloring, and small white speckles on its skin. It looks unlike anything they've ever seen before.
I mean, yeah, it looks like a gummy worm that has sugar on it.
They've ever seen before. It looks exactly like something that all the kids recognize very well. In fact, one of the kids has a bag of them right now that he's chewing on.
I don't like it.
A candied worm. The
Good
kids stare in
stuff.
curiosity, first at the bag of candy that their friend has in his hand, and then down at the worm, slowly eating its way through the decomposing bird. As far as their eyes can tell, the two things are exactly the same.
Okay, I'm getting really
Except, of
creeped
course,
out right now.
The one eating the bird seems to be alive.
I don't think I'm ever gonna eat any gummy worms ever in my entire life ever again.
Kids being kids, the next thing that happened was sort of inevitable.
Do not eat it.
One dares the boy to eat it.
You don't.
He almost retches in disgust.
Yeah, don't do
There's
that.
No way
don't
he's
do
even
that.
touching it.
Nope, don't do that.
Then,
No,
another
no,
one
no,
of the
no, no,
children
no.
throws
Wipe
down the
that
poison
smile off your
chalice
face.
and dares him.
Don't. Oh gosh.
The boy stands there
He double dog
nervously.
dared him.
He knows that he's not allowed to eat worms.
Well,
that had been
yeah.
a lesson ingrained in him from a very young age.
Are you what? This kid has eaten worms before? What?
But his mother isn't here right now, and this thing doesn't look like any kind of worm that he's seen
No,
before.
no,
It almost
just
looks a bit
N O. No, it doesn't.
In
No.
exchange for eating the worm,
Don't you
another
dare
one
do
of the
it.
children promises he'll give him 5 English pounds.
That's not enough money.
Kids around the circle gasp. That's a lot of money.
No, it's
None
not.
Of them have even
No, it's
got
not.
2 pounds on them, let
Don't
alone
do it.
5.
Don't do it.
Think of all the sweets you could buy with that kind of money.
Oh gosh.
But the boy is adamant. He bumps his chest out.
I don't
he
like
stands
this.
up tall.
I
and
don't
he
like
nods
it.
firmly. 5 pounds.
Don't do
or
it.
He wouldn't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
After some intense schoolyard debate, the deal is sealed. As the boy lies in bed that night,
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that I was kind of right. He ate the SCP. Like, that has to be the SCP. And since he ate the SCP, something bad is going to happen. And I think I know a little bit more information about this SCP based on so you guys know how like gummy worms have different colors, and I think every single color represents a different version of this SCP. So he ate a red candied worm, which I think might be why it's going to take over his heart. And I think that the different colors might take over different parts of your body. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know for sure.
staring at the ceiling and grumbling, he knows that he's not happy about what his friends have done to him today. He's gonna get them back for this. Only he's getting a bit of a tummy ache. Getting is the wrong word. He's had a tummy ache for most of the evening. What he's experiencing now is heartburn. It feels as if something is crawling in his chest. The boy just ignores it. It's probably just his worries about the worm inside of him. He chewed it up pretty well. There's no way that it's still alive in him, surely. His uneasy sleep is punctuated by rotten dreams. Dreams in which he finds himself lying on the floor and his playground lying on the ground at school, unable to move as people gather around him to poke him with a stick. He feels his skin covered with maggots. They even crawl.
Okay, guys, this is creeping me out. Secondly, I think that I'm more scared of this type of SCP versus like Shy Guy or the statue or the prototype or the hard to destroy reptile. Like those SCPs are big, scary monsters that I know I should be scared of. This is just an SCP that is a gummy worm. It is, let me repeat, a gummy worm, which I kind of sometimes like to eat if I'm at the movies, but now I'm gonna have to think twice about it, which is just such a weird feeling. And also too, it creeps me out that it's just a bunch of worms. I don't like it.
Across the surface of his eyes.
I feel like I need to take a shower.
There's a searing pain. The boy wakes with a start as he feels his heart pounding, thudding against his ribs. It's agonizing. Adrenaline courses through him as he sweats off his face. Crying out for his mom, the boy lies there in bed.
Oh
feeling
no,
the heart
poor dude.
attacking his system. When you decide to become a surgeon, you have to accept that you're not going to get very much sleep most nights. In fact, it's more than that. You have to not only accept that you won't get much sleep most nights, but you also have to be at your absolute best when you've had no sleep and it's the middle of the night. With over 40 years under his belt, the surgeon doesn't need coffee anymore, even when the junior doctor offers it to him as he strides toward the operating theater. Instead, he asks them to fill him in on the situation. Who's his patient? What's going on? What needs to be done? The doctor accompanying him reads the notes in a calm but hurried voice. They haven't got much time on this one at all. At any moment, the boy's heart could give out. The surgeon asks what's wrong with the organ, and the doctor looks at his notes in apparent confusion. Apparently, over the course of the night, the boy has suffered a 72% reduction in the mass of his heart.
What?
The surgeon stops just on the other side of the door.
How?
He doesn't want to have this conversation in front of his whole team. He whispers to the doctor in a terse voice, "What kind of infection does this boy have
that his heart has undergone that rapid of a deterioration.
That's insane.
It's not an infection at all, sir. Well, sir, it's a worm.
The doctor holds out a sheet to him. The surgeon takes it from him. He looks down at the x-ray to see a scan of the boy's chest cavity. It doesn't look so bad. There's a hole in the heart for sure, but the surgeon has encountered worse in his career.
This was taken when the boy was first admitted.
The doctor hands the surgeon a second x-ray.
Okay.
And this was taken just 1 hour later.
What?
It is barely recognizable as a human heart. There seems to be a mass growing in the cavity that was left by the heart. And there, infecting all of the boy's organs,
the
was
SCP.
the shape of a worm. The biker weaves his way through the traffic down on Marylebone Road, eyes darting frantically in all directions. He may have a concussion, and he may not be allowed to drive at all right now. In fact, he knows he definitely isn't. But he is under strict instructions. This heart needs to get to St. Mary's Hospital before it's too late. The bike careens around the corner and skids to a halt outside the emergency doors. An ambulance team in front of him is trying to help an old lady out of the back of their vehicle.
Get out of the way, old lady!
He grabs the organ box from the back of the bike and races into the building.
Go. You got this, bro.
It takes all of his remaining concentration to navigate through the maze of hospital corridors on his way to the operating theater. On a better day, he'd be able to do this with no problem. But with his head injury, he can see the lights starting to blur all around him.
Pretty intense.
Ward 6, Ward 7, Ward 7A, Ward 7B.
Oh,
he
no.
runs as fast as his heavy
Does he know
boots
where to
will
go?
allow him, feeling that energy draining from his system. He can't look at his watch. He can't check the time. He just has to find this boy. Operating theater. There, right up ahead of him. Just a couple of 100 feet.
Come on, you got this.
There's a doctor waiting outside the door who looks up at the sound of his footsteps. The biker rips his helmet off and holds out the box with the heart.
Yes.
Heavily.
Hopefully it's okay.
Truth. Is he too late? The doctor looks shell-shocked. Not at the biker's arrival.
What?
But clearly at something else she's just seen.
What is it?
The man starts to explain, but runs out of words, and instead beckons the biker to follow him into the observation room.
What's going on?
The two of them stand looking through the glass at the little boy lying on the operating table.
What's wrong with him?
The surgeon standing over him.
Oh.
There's something in the air. The biker sniffs, confused. Can anyone else smell sugar? Next time you open a pack
okay, alright, so what? The gummy worm got so big that you could literally smell the sugar in the room, which is terrifying. So it looks like the guy maybe made it in time. I guess we're just not going to find out, but wow. I cannot believe this SCP actually does that. Like, it's a candy worm that takes over your body and just like eats you from the inside out. I don't like this. This actually might be one of the scariest SCPs we've ever learned about.
Candied worms. Take a second to look through the little creepy crawlies in the bag. Perhaps poke a couple of them, just to see if any of them are moving. You can never be too careful.
Oh!
If you had told the parents of that young boy on the night when their son woke up with heart palpitations, telling stories of eating a worm at school, that the only health concerns he would have going forward were mild diabetes and a slightly raised level of blood sugar, I'm sure they would have been thrilled to hear it. You see, SCP-839, commonly referred to within the Foundation as candied worms, is much scarier on the surface than it is underneath. Not only does this SCP resemble your usual candy worm, but its body is actually composed of sugar flavorings and colorings, roughly equivalent to what you would find in most convenience store candy aisles.
So that means that like it basically is just a gummy worm. It's made up of like sugar and then sugar flakes on top. That's all it is. So how could it be so bad?
Each instance even has a small raised bit of writing near the tail specifying which flavor it is. While the origins of these worms are yet to be determined, cases have sprung up across much of the Western world, with higher numbers reported in areas with higher levels of diabetes. There seems to be a parallel between high sugar diets and the presence of SCP-839. Whether they are of man-made or other origins is yet to be determined. That is not to say that SCP-839 cannot survive outside of human populations. This SCP in the wild primarily feeds on decomposing organic matter and is capable of sustaining itself on a purely vegetarian diet.
So wait a second, if the SCP, it can infect other creatures, it also just said that it eats vegetarian stuff. So it could eat leaves, it could eat grass. Why does it infect people? Why would it infect animals if it doesn't even like need to eat them? It could just eat leaves and grass for its entire life. So why does it like target people?
However, when ingested into the human body, SCP-839 will target specific organs and burrow its way towards them. The organ in question depends on which color candied worm the SCP instance is.
Okay, so
for example,
that was
red
correct.
cherry-flavored candied worms will burrow towards the heart and consume that.
I don't like
while
the
blue
term
raspberry
burrow
ones will
inside of the
instead
body.
feed on the human's kidney.
Ugh.
One would expect the health consequences of this feeding to be severe. However, as the SCP feeds, it will also change its own shape and chemical composition until the worm itself becomes a substitute organ for the one that it is consuming.
What?
However, this substitute organ is not a perfect replacement, as other health consequences are derived from its presence.
Well, yeah, it's not like you could just like replace a normal heart with a gummied version of a heart. That's just, there's no way that could ever work.
For example, the green apple-flavored SCP-839-3 targets the eye and
Oh.
replaces it with a jelly green version of the human eye. While this eye is mostly capable of sight, subjects have reported mild hallucinations and blurriness of vision, as well as a greenish tint to how they see the world.
That's so weird.
Fortunately for the Foundation, SCP-839 reproduces sexually, meaning that individual instances require a partner in order to have offspring. This
And that's
has
how they
made
make new
containment of this
colors.
SCP much more feasible. Though they are a relatively low-priority entity in the broader scope of the Foundation, there are no known cases as of yet of any SCP-839 infections leading to death or
Oh, well,
serious
that's good.
chronic illness. Therefore, any instances that are captured by the Foundation are sent to storage site 839-1, where they are kept in a glass housing and regularly fed a diet of plant matter each day. Here, their reproductive activity can be closely monitored and controlled based on what research is needed.
Huh.
Those infected with SCP-839 instances can continue to live long and healthy lives, with only minor health complications arising. Therefore, the Foundation is comfortable allowing a reasonable number of cases to go unexamined in the world.
So wait a second. What they're saying here is that the boy actually didn't need the heart transplant because the gummy turned into his heart and it works pretty much the exact same as a normal heart would. So he's gonna be fine.
So, like I said, for next time you open up a bag of candied worms, maybe just give them a quick poke. You could be saving yourself a trip to the hospital and a lifetime dependence on insulin.
Wandering off the path and getting lost for days, the elements slowly withering you away to nothingness. There are plenty of ways you can die in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Few would expect death
Like
to come as a
fart
result
berries.
of a simple
Oh
bodily
no,
function.
don't
with a
fart.
Decidedly anomalous twist.
The bear will find you.
Springtime in the Sierra Nevada
I can't wait
is
to see what happens.
undeniably beautiful. The unpredictable storms of winter are a thing of the past, but the oppressive heat of summer hasn't yet crept in. The highest peaks of the mountains are still spotted with snow, but in the foothills, the wildflowers sprout from the earth, blooming in a
That's so
tapestry of
nice.
yellow,
I love
pink,
spring.
purple,
Everything
and
just
orange.
comes to life in
Crystal clear
spring.
waterfalls roar down the rocky mountainsides, water set free from its slumber by the melting ice as the world wakes up from a long hibernation. The summer vacation crowds haven't yet flooded the hiking trails and ski slopes, but a few groups of early adventurers can be spotted hiking through the mountains, taking in the sights and breathing in the fresh, fragrant air.
Okay guys, so as you know, I like to make predictions in these SCP videos, and if I had to guess, we're gonna come across a group of some of these people that are coming out in the spring. They're going around, they're going on some nice hikes, and every once in a while, you know, when you're hiking, you come across a berry bush. And I mean, I'm guilty of this. I have found like a you know, a little blueberry bush, and I'm like, oh, that looks delicious. Let me try to eat it, which I do not recommend because they could be poisonous. But I have a feeling that some of these guys or girls are going to come across these berries and they're going to have a little snack. And little do they know, these are the SCP fart berries. And then things are going to go extremely wrong from there.
Among these springtime visitors are a pair of young men, one with blonde hair and one with dark hair.
Okay.
Each wearing a small backpack
What's
and
up,
carrying
boys?
a canteen of water, not a scuff to be seen on their brand new hiking boots.
So they only
These
have
two young
water.
men are
They don't
on
have
their
any
senior
food.
Spring break from college, gleefully taking the hiking trip they have been talking about since they were
Whoa.
paired up as roommates their
That
freshman
is a
year.
big hiking trip.
Neither of these young men is especially experienced in hiking, but they have both spent dozens of hours in the library reading up on wilderness survival, on the best ways to pitch a tent and start a fire with nothing more than
Okay,
sticks
so they're
and
like
two
kind of
rocks.
prepared.
The lighter-haired of the two especially prides himself on his knowledge of foraging for edible wild plants.
Oh.
A skill he is excited to put to the test on this trip.
So he's going
His
to find the
dark-haired
berries.
companion is a bit more suspicious of wild plants, frightened by the stories of foraging gone wrong and unfortunate explorers confusing a delicious mushroom for one that stops the heart in minutes.
Yep, you
He has
literally
filled his bag
never
with
have any
provisions,
idea,
with
so you gotta
granola
be
and
extra
turkey,
careful.
Dried fruits, and cans of beans that he hopes his friend will share with him. rather than risking his safety by gambling on a wild root or berry. Still, his concerns about foraging are soon forgotten as the two proceed further along the trail, passing sparkling waterfalls, bighorn sheep grazing on wild plants, and a bird that just might be a bald eagle soaring by overhead.
Oh my gosh, dude,
The two
I would
are
love to be
lost
out
in
there.
The majesty of nature.
It looks
So lost,
amazing.
in fact, that they forget to eat until the sun is dipping over the horizon.
Okay,
and the world
well,
is growing dark around them.
Yeah, you should probably
Out
eat some
here
of the
in mountains,
granola
with
that
no
you
light
brought, or
pollution to
like the
speak
chocolate
of,
bars.
Dark is dark. Even with the help of the lanterns they brought, the two men can scarcely see well enough to put up their tents and build a small fire.
Okay, that
Still,
was a mistake.
They remember all of their reading.
So if you guys are ever out camping, pro tip, I'm surprised they didn't do this because they read up on how to camp. You're supposed to pitch your tent before it turns pitch black because it's so much more difficult to do it when you can't see anything.
and managed to set up a modest camp for the night.
Oh, it's actually pretty
The dark-haired
impressive.
man pulls a bag of beans from his backpack and begins to heat them over the flame. He offers some to his companion, but he refuses.
Why?
The blonde man has found a shrub that he
my
recognizes,
God.
weighed down with ripe fruit. This shrub, he explains to his friend, is a species of manzanita, an evergreen shrub that produces berries similar in flavor to little apples. The dark-haired man is dubious. Aren't manzanita berries typically red in color? These appear to be
Interesting.
a shade of brown. Wait. The young man reaches out and stops his friend just before he can pop the berries into his mouth. At least let me look them up on my phone. That won't work out here, his
Wait,
friend
what?
tells him. The government blocks access to the web out here. They don't want you on the internet. It's a big conspiracy. Everyone knows
Okay,
about it.
something's up with
Page
this guy.
unavailable. His friend is right. But wait, he has the ultimate tool to defeat this intrusion on his lunch.
Wait, is it like a VPN?
Surfshark
Wait
VPN.
a second, I've never seen a sponsor on a Dr. Bob video. What the heck? Do they know that they're sponsoring an SCP video about fart berries? That is hysterical.
The wannabe forager insists that he has correctly identified the plant and that these berries will be his dinner.
I don't
The
know. Why
dark-haired
would you
man
not just
shrugs
eat the
and
food
treats
that your
himself
friend
to a
brought?
meal of beans and dried apples, while his friend munches on handfuls of the brown berries. He has no complaints about the taste and does not immediately drop dead upon eating them, so perhaps he was right. These
Oh,
are manzanitas
no.
after all. As soon as the thought crosses the dark-haired man's mind, he sees his friend double over,
Oh my
clutching at his
gosh,
stomach
yo,
in
that was
discomfort.
so fast.
Afraid for his friend's safety, he rushes to his side, only to be met with a long, loud fart. The two share a laugh, the tension broken by a sudden smelly outburst. But the humor soon fades as the blonde man farts again.
He's still
And
going?
again and again.
Okay, he definitely pooped
All
his
through the
pants.
night, he continues to emit
All-
loud,
all through the
excruciatingly smelly
night?
farts. The
That's
smell
impressive,
permeates the campsite,
honestly.
seeping into the dark-haired man's tent, no matter how he tries to cover his nose with his sleeping bag.
Oh, that
He
is
doesn't
so
get a wink of
gross.
sleep, spending the night wide awake, staring at the ceiling
Dude,
of
I
his tent,
can't.
silently
There's just
wishing for the relentless
a
stream of
fart
gas to
sound
stop.
constantly in my ears.
But it doesn't. It just carries on until the dark-haired man can scarcely remember a time when he wasn't listening to the maddening sound.
This
Again
is
and again
hysterical.
and again, the endless farts. He clenches his fists
That's
until
so
the knuckles
good.
turn white, clenches his jaw.
I would
and
totally
grinds his
eat
teeth.
these.
It's enough to drive a man
This is a
insane.
great thing
The
to
next
do to
morning,
prank
it
your
is still
friends.
happening. The blonde man expresses embarrassment, but does not apologize for ignoring his friend's warnings about the berries.
So he
tries to
slept
laugh
through
it
the
off,
night
but
while
the dark-haired man
farting.
does not join him in his laughter.
He was literally farting in his sleep for like 10 hours. That is awesome.
If he had only listened, they wouldn't be in this situation. They wouldn't be about to continue their hike with this rancid, gaseous albatross around their necks. As they pack up camp, the dark-haired man glances down at the tent pole in his hand. One good swing, and he could put a stop to the madness.
Oh my gosh, he's
No,
going to
that's
kill
ridiculous.
his friend
He shakes
just
his
for
head, clearing the
farting?
impulse from his mind. The gastrointestinal distress will pass soon, and they will be able to continue the trip like
Maybe
they
that's
planned.
part of it,
But
guys.
It doesn't pass. Nothing.
Maybe the SCP doesn't affect the person other than making them fart. Maybe it affects everybody around them by A, keeping them awake, and B, what if like the fart gas is different than normal farts? What if it's like a special chemical that makes you extremely angry and disgruntled and like super annoyed so that you kill the person that ate the berries? I could see that happening.
Nothing passes, but the gas itself. The blonde man asks if they can stop for water.
Did he
before
poop
they've even
yet?
been hiking for an hour.
You should try to
He
poop.
isn't feeling very well, he explains. He woke up dizzy and nauseated, disoriented from lying there all night, breathing in the fumes. The dark-haired man wants to say something, to retort that he too was suffering all night, but he doesn't. He just lets his friend stop to drink some water, and they proceed with the hike. Gone is the magic of the previous day, the time before the cursed berries. The men can no longer smell the wildflowers, the crisp mountain air.
They can
There
only
are no wild
smell
animals to be
fart
found,
gas.
Not a single ground squirrel or little bird. Up ahead on the trail, the dark-haired man catches the barest glimpse of a tail vanishing into the brush as a mountain lion runs the other way.
Okay, that's a little
Is
scary.
it fleeing from them? From the stench? He wouldn't blame the beast if it was. They have 5 more days of this planned, and he can feel his resolve beginning to fade. Maybe he can turn back and ask to cut the trip short now. But why should he have to suffer
funny.
just because his friend made a mistake identifying a wild berry? It isn't fair. If he could just get a moment to think without the incessant farting. If he could just have 1 second
Oh
to
my gosh,
think,
he's
maybe
actually
he could
getting
come up with a
so
solution.
mad.
But no respite comes. If anything, it only seems to get worse. The smell burns his nostrils. The sound rings in his ears.
Oh my gosh.
The blonde man tries to speak over it, to clear the air with pleasant conversation, but the dark-haired man brushes him off with grunts and shrugs. His eyes sting and water. He chokes on the stench. He knows
Wow,
in
it
his
really
heart
is getting
he can't
worse.
take much more of this. When the men make camp for the night again, the dark-haired man's thoughts turn dark. He could just leave in the dead of night while his friend is sleeping, rush off into the wilderness and abandon his companion there, freeing himself from the farts. He tries
Freeing
to justify it to
himself from the
They both have the
farts.
survival skills to make it. He'll be fine. His thoughts of leaving his friend alone in the woods are interrupted by the
What?
sound of chewing. Is there any animal nearby?
Wait a
No,
second.
Surely no animal would approach, given the smell. He
Okay.
takes a look in the blonde man's
I'm a little
tent
bit
and
nervous.
finds his friend eating another handful of those same brown berries.
No.
The dark-haired man flies into a rage,
What?
unable to contain his fury. How could he do this? How could he eat more of them after what happened the first time?
Okay, either this guy loves these berries or the berries make you want to eat more of them, which is why he's doing it. Or he really likes farting. I guess that's the third option.
Doesn't he understand what this is doing to him, what it's doing to the both of them?
He got caught red-handed. That's so
blonde
funny.
man insists that it's fine, that the farting can't possibly be related to the berries.
Well,
because
yeah,
manzanitas don't
it
cause that
definitely
sort of
is.
thing. At this, something in the dark-haired man snaps. He can't take it anymore.
Oh my God, he's gonna
He turns
kill
away
him.
from the tent, throwing up his hands and telling the blonde man to find his own way back. They'll split up from here. The blonde man emerges from his tent, begging his friend not
Look
to
at the
cast him out.
fumes.
He's certain the farting will stop any day now. At
Any
this,
day?
It seems to grow louder and more potent. The dark-haired
He's starting
man
to
spots a
charge
large
up his
rock by the
farts.
campfire,
Oh my
small
God,
enough to
no.
hold in his hand, hefty enough to do some real damage.
Wait, there's no way he's about to
He
kill
picks
his
it up
friend
and
over
turns
some
to meet his
farts.
friend. Without thinking, he swings the rock at the blonde man's head.
What?
For the first time in days, the sound of farts goes silent. The air
He
smells
killed
sweet,
him
like
over
flowers, leaves,
farts.
and campfire smoke. He did what he had to do.
I don't know about
The
that
dark-haired
one.
man lets out a sigh of relief, the rock falling from his hand. He glances at the rock on
Wow.
the ground, at the blood dripping down its surface, and realizes the full weight
Well, yeah,
of what he
you
has
just
done.
killed a man for
He packs up the
farting.
campsite as quickly as he can, douses the fire, and dumps the body over the edge
Oh my
of
God.
a nearby cliff.
Is it gonna fart on the way
The
down?
next few days, he hikes back the way he and his friend came, noticing, in spite of his gnawing guilt, that the walk really is so much better without those damned farts. On the way,
He looks
passes
so
that
much
bush,
happier.
That horrible bush, weighed down by the fruit that destroyed his spring break.
Oh no,
trip,
he's gonna
that
do it.
Destroyed his friend's life.
He's gonna do
He
it.
opens his backpack, tearing a page from one of his books and grabbing a pen. He scribbles a warning: no matter what,
Oh my gosh.
do not eat these berries, and affixes it to the bush.
I would take a few
You can
back
only
with
hope that
me.
the
You
next
know,
person
it
to
could be a
stumble on
cool
this shrub
prank.
will see the note and heed its warning. If they don't, they might meet a similar fate. Days later, the park rangers discover the blonde man's body
okay.
and declare the death an accident.
We're back to the
caused
start
when
of
man
the
fell over
video.
The side of the cliff. Some of them suspect foul play, but are unable to find any evidence. All they can find is a strange note on an unidentified shrub and the faintest smell of something foul, like rotten eggs. The two doomed hikers had no way of knowing this, but the fruit they foraged was not from the Manzanita family. It was from a plant known as SCP-4032.
Fart berries.
SCP-4032 is a wide, deciduous shrub characterized by a rounded crown and wider base. It produces a distinct, small, round brown fruit that has been designated SCP-4032-1.
I mean, guys, this has
Whenever
to be
any
the
animal or
weirdest
human
SCP we've
consumes
ever
an
seen.
instance of SCP-4032-1, this meal will result in intense gastrointestinal distress. I will try to describe this as delicately as I possibly can, but as I have learned over the years in my line of work,
The truth is rarely delicate or polite.
Tell me more about the
1 hour following
dingleberries.
consumption of an SCP-4032-1 instance, the person or animal will begin to emit an excessive amount of flatulence, consisting of elevated hydrogen sulfide levels and a small but detectable amount of methane gas.
Okay,
Perhaps
that
you are
seems like a
familiar
normal
with an old
fart.
rhyming song about the wonders of beans, the magical fruit. These berries
Yes.
function quite similarly. The more one eats, the more one does, in fact, for want of a better word, toot. However, unlike the second part of the bean-based rhyme,
Toot berries.
these fruits do not cause their unfortunate consumers to feel better, nor should they be eaten at every or any meal. The Foundation first
Interesting,
discovered
okay.
SCP-4032 on April 2nd, 2018, after a man named Anthony Green happened upon the plant in the foothills of Northern California. Hungry enough to forget his better judgment, Anthony ate some of the fruit and became immediately concerned
Oh,
for
no.
his physical well-being.
The more you eat, the more you toot.
SCP-4032's effects began to take hold. Fearing he had unknowingly consumed a poisonous plant, he made a distress call to the local search and rescue team. This call was intercepted by Foundation operatives, who swiftly arrived at the scene to bring both Anthony and the
Wait,
plant itself
why?
into custody.
Why would
The
they?
affected individual will continue.
Why would they go after this guy, the SCP Foundation, literally because he called somebody saying, "Hey, I think I got like poisoned by these berries that are making me fart." I guess maybe they had prior knowledge of this SCP, but yeah. I can't even imagine how somebody thought of this and was like, hey, yeah, this is an SCP after all. Yeah, they're just berries that make you pass gas constantly.
Continue to produce this.
I wonder if it ever goes
flatulence until
away.
they have expired. Both starvation and dehydration have no impact on the flatulence, and no identifiable source of the gaseous output has been detected via endoscopy.
Ew, where
If
does
an
that
affected
go?
individual finds themselves in an area without adequate ventilation, they will gradually begin to experience symptoms brought on by hydrogen sulfide poisoning, including
Oh
but
my
not
gosh.
limited to conjunctivitis.
You can
respiratory
literally kill
irritation and
yourself
coughing,
with
loss
your
of
own
smell,
farts.
and eventually pulmonary edema.
They
and
are
death.
deadly fart
Shortly
berries.
following SCP-4032's discovery, Dr. Logari began conducting a thorough observation of Anthony Green, referred to as D-14478 for the purposes of official documentation.
Oh, he became
as
a
he suffered
D-class
from the effects
personnel.
of consuming
Wow.
SCP-4032-1. First, he was brought in for observation and placed in cell 14B on the outside of Site 88. Dr. Logari noted copious amounts of flatulence being emitted by the subject, with high levels of hydrogen sulfide and
Oh my
methane.
gosh, they're so bad.
5
You can
hours later,
see
The
them.
subject was complaining about gas buildup in his cell, and the interior venting hood was activated. 3 hours and over 50 complaints later, maintenance staff deactivated the interior venting hood and opened exterior windows.
That's so
in an
funny.
attempt to quell some of the relentless flatulence.
Dude, they're making everybody so sick.
D-14478 was placed on an intravenous diet. After 2 days on the intravenous diet and no changes to the subject's gas emissions, medical staff conducted an endoscopy, which revealed that the colon was clear and there were no
So,
visible signs of rectal gas.
where did
The
it
following day,
go?
a staff meeting was held in order to discuss the impact of D-14478's condition on the quality of life at the facility. Both residents and researchers alike had complained about the persistent smell, which
Okay, obviously nobody likes the smell, but we haven't answered the best question. Like, how many of these do you need to eat? Is it just one and then you're gonna fart forever? Or do you have to eat like 10 of these and then you're gonna have crazy gas for the rest of your life? Or if you just keep eating more, does it keep getting more like aggressive? Are your farts going to be nuclear farts if I eat like 69 berries? These are the answers that I need.
they were unable to escape and was permeating the air outside as well as throughout the interior of the building. Several options were proposed, including relocation, treatment, and failing all else, termination of the
Oh, you're gonna
subject.
kill him over
A
the fart.
resolution was passed
I guess
to
that would be
house
the first time we saw that.
D-14478 in an outdoor facility until proper filtering equipment could be installed. A little over a week later, Foundation agents intercepted reports from nearby environmental watch groups concerning
What?
an increase in airborne pollution in the central Alabama area.
Are you
around
kidding
Site
me?
88,
So it
with
does get worse.
D-14478's condition threatening not only the morale at Site 88, but the environment itself.
Holy
An additional
smokes.
resolution was passed in order to transfer D-14478 into an experimental air filtering cell. The cell had not yet passed a safety inspection.
Okay, so he's
Those with
probably
objection
going
were
to die.
overruled by the vote of the majority. The following day, subject D-14478 was found dead in
Oh,
his
but
cell.
yeah, you saw
An
that coming a
investigation into
mile
the cause
away.
of death determined that the primary filter was improperly constructed.
Yup.
And both it and its associated sensor had malfunctioned.
Oh, wow.
There was one silver lining to this unfortunate incident,
The
however.
fart
The
stopped.
effects of SCP-4032-1 mercifully ceased following the subject's death.
Oh my
The
gosh.
post-mortem report was filed with the Ethics Committee, and Dr. Logari was placed on temporary administrative leave. Meanwhile, a large order of scented candles was placed by the staff of Site 88.
This
And soon,
SCP is
the
so
unpleasant odor
ridiculous.
was replaced with
I
the
love
smells
it.
of lavender, vanilla, sugar, and pine. In Dr. Logari's absence, Dr. Carlisle was appointed to the position of lead researcher on SCP-4032. Following the approval of the Ethics Committee, Dr. Carlisle began conducting a series of animal tests using SCP-4032. The
Oh.
first test subject
Does it
selected
work on
was
animals?
the Raucanian herring. An instance of
Do fish fart?
SCP-4032-1 was crushed and added to a mix of copepods and krill, which were then fed to a small school of herring. 15 minutes after the consumption of SCP-4032-1, the herring's
Oh my
usual
God.
flatus production increased dramatically.
I didn't
This
realize
caused great
fish
distress to the
fart.
school of fish, as this species ordinarily uses flatulence as a means of communication.
That's so funny.
Samples
Wait,
of the
wait,
flat-
did he just say that they fart to communicate? I feel like we should start trying this as a human population.
Were taken and analyzed, and were found to contain hydrogen sulfide and methane, though the levels of both were lower than they had been in human subjects. 3 hours after their initial feeding, the herring were euthanized and taken for autopsy and chemical analysis. There was no post-mortem evidence found of SCP-4032-1's effects.
That's so
Next,
weird.
a flock of chickens was selected
Oh,
for
no.
testing. They were offered a handful of SCP-4032-1
These poor
directly,
chickens.
which they refused to taste.
Good.
The fruit was then crushed and added to chicken feed.
Oh, no.
Which was
They've
fed to the
been
chickens
tricked.
With great success.
They've
2
been
hours
tricked
after
by the
eating
fart berries.
SCP-4032-1, all of the chickens began to emit gas containing low levels of methane and hydrogen sulfide. The chickens were promptly euthanized
No!
and taken for analysis.
Poor
An autopsy
chickies.
determined that the birds' short intestinal tracts were distended. This
does that
marked
mean?
the first
Does anybody
recorded
know what that
visible
means?
sign of the fruit's impact on a test subject. The next animal selected
Oh
for
my
testing
God.
were brown-throated three-toed sloths. This particular species was chosen due to its lack of flatulence, as these sloths
They
tend to absorb
don't
flatus
fart?
and release it through their lungs, rather than rectally.
Oh, so they breathe
Fruit
out
was offered
farts?
directly at first, but the
Interesting.
sloths rejected it. The fruit was then crushed and ground.
So it
with
looks
a
like
mixture of
animals
tree
are
leaves
smarter than
and
humans
fed
when
to
it comes to
sloths.
eating the fart berries.
Whatever happened next has been redacted from the official Foundation file.
Wait,
But
what?
it was disturbing enough to bring a grinding halt to any and all future testing of
Okay, I have a theory that since sloths don't fart usually, they usually breathe it out, that maybe it just like didn't have anywhere to go and all of the gas built up and then the sloth exploded in like a giant nuclear fart. That's what I'm thinking.
SCP-4032 on large mammals. Any potential animal experiments involving SCP-4032 must be approved by the Ethics Committee in order to prevent another, quote, sloth
incident.
SCP-4032
Sloth
has been
incident.
contained in a cordoned-off portion of the research gardens at Site 67, which consists of the area around SCP-4032's original location. This land was purchased by the Foundation, and a research facility disguised as a personal estate was constructed there. SCP-4032, along with several other anomalous plants, is kept in the garden portion of the site. All instances of SCP-4032-1 are to be gathered from the ground on a daily basis
And then what?
incinerated
Oh,
on site.
okay, yeah, that's
Any
probably for the
employees
best.
found to be using the berries for unapproved personal purposes will be
what?
suspended or terminated from their positions.
He literally
If any
got
animals
caught
wander
with
onto
a
the grounds
fart
and
berry.
consume the berries,
That's
they
so
must be
embarrassing.
captured and euthanized, and their bodies
wow.
incinerated.
Oh wow, okay, that's
Though
a
there
little
is currently
aggressive.
only one known specimen of SCP-4032, the Foundation has a contingency
I thought there were
plan in
two.
place should any additional specimens be discovered. If this happens, Mobile Task Force Alpha 67 Weed Whackers will be dispatched to the specimen's location, where they will uproot it and bring it back to Site 67 to be contained. Any humans that consume an instance of SCP-4032-1 must be contained in holding cells B1 through B5 along the outer perimeter of Site 67. Each of these cells is equipped with 3 air filters containing Thiobacillus thioparus, chemolithoatrophic sulfur-oxidizing bacteria.
Is he
embedded
speaking
in a
English?
mixture of peat and polyurethane. Each filter
Okay.
also contains sensors intended to detect hydrogen sulfide and methane. When the sensors are activated, members of Mobile Task Force Alpha 13, Odor Eaters, are dispatched
Odor
to escort the
Eaters.
affected individual outside.
That's
until
such
the
a
filters
funny
in their cell
nickname.
Can be repaired.
Fart
Currently,
eaters.
The Foundation does not believe there to be any additional specimens of SCP-4032 in the wild. However, There is no way to be certain of this, due to the plant's relatively unassuming appearance and the lack of any information on its origins. It is entirely possible that there are more of these shrubs just waiting to be discovered by an unfortunate hiker wandering off the beaten path. So if you find yourself out in nature with an empty stomach, make sure that you have accurately identified any of the
I will
wild
not be
plants you
eating it.
consume. If you don't, you may be met with a fate that is silent but deadly.